If someone plugged a rogue laptop into your private network right now, would your services notice? Here's why that question matters. Most teams assume the VPC is a moat. It's not. One leaked CI token, one misrouted proxy, or one overpermissive role, and internal traffic turns public in a heartbeat. We're not here to scare you. We're here to fix it fast and make it boring in the best way. By the end of this video, you'll be able to design, ship, and operate encrypted service communications with real confidence. I'm talking TLS 1.3 at the edge, mutual TLS inside your systems, certificates on autopilot, and dashboards that actually tell you when something's off. It's practical, tool-driven, and packed with real examples you can copy. Here's the plan so you can track the long ride. First, we'll map the threats that actually bite teams: lateral movement, SSRF, leaked keys, and why private isn't protection. Then we'll flip straight into the how. Turn on TLS 1.3, pick safe ciphers, and avoid zero RTT surprises. We'll make workload identity real with SPIF Spire so every service proves who it is, and we'll use Cert Manager to renew certs without tickets or late-night panic. We'll lock down webhooks so forged events die at the door, and we'll scan your setup with testSL.h and SSL Labs until that report card hits A. You'll see what to do at the edge with a CDN and the safe way to talk back to your origin over encrypted authenticated links, no plain HTTP on the backhaul. We'll cover SNI gotchas, why host and SNI need to match, and how to roll out HTTP 2 and HTTP 3 without breaking clients sitting behind strict firewalls. We'll compare CT monitoring with pinning so you can shut down the let's pin everything debate in one sentence. And when something goes wrong, you'll have a clock-based runbook. T plus 15 minutes disable the bad key, T30 reissue with Acme, T plus 1 hour verify via probes, T plus 4 hours finish the JWKS rollover with zero downtime. Let me make this concrete. Picture this. Your API is fronted by a CDN. Today we'll terminate TLS at the edge, then require TLS with hostname validation, and even MTLS or signed pulls from the CDN to your origin. We'll run SSL Labs on your public host, trim weak ciphers, enable TLS 1.3, and watch that grade jump. Inside the cluster, we'll pilot MTLS in one namespace. Spire issues short-lived certs, services start speaking securely without code changes, and logs show exactly who called who. For tokens, we'll publish a new JKS key with a fresh KID, shorten cache TTLs, and rotate live without breaking a single client. The sticking point most teams hit is this sounds hard, or we'll do it later. Later is when outages happen. So we'll keep it simple and fast. Clear defaults, tiny steps, safe guardrails. You'll get a 30, 60, 90-day plan you can screenshot. Next week, enable TLS 1.3 and install Cert Manager. In 60 days, pilot MTLS in one namespace with Spire. By 90 days, you'll run a live drill and prove your rotation works in under an hour. Here's the key moment to watch for. We'll take a real host that starts at a B on SSL Labs, flip the right flags, enable stapling, and it hits A. We'll show a JWKS KID rollover where clients switch keys within a couple minutes because caches are set right. And we'll demo a webhook handler that rejects a forged event because we verify the signature and the timestamp, then treat duplicates as no ops. That's the feeling you want in prod. Calm. Quick recap of what you'll walk away with. A threat-first mindset that doesn't depend on private networks. A toolkit you can trust. TLS 1.3, MTLS with SPIF Spire, Cert Manager, KMS, testSL.sh, SSL Labs, and a playbook that turns scary incidents into routine drills. Real steps, real tools, and examples you can paste into your code and configs today. Ready to make your service communications encrypted, fast, and quietly reliable? Watch the next section to start hardening in minutes. Here's your map for the next 2 hours and 30 minutes, so you always know what's next and why it matters. We're keeping this simple. We'll start with why, real threats inside private networks. Move into how, TLS 1.3, PKI, MTLS, and then the ops layer that keeps it all running, KMS, mesh monitoring. After that, we'll tackle edge cases, incident drills, and finish with a 30, 60, 90-day plan you can screenshot and hand to your team. By the end, you'll be able to design with TLS 1.3, implement MTLS with SPIF Spire, automate certs with Cert Manager and Acme, validate with testcell.sh and SSL Labs, lock down webhooks, rotate keys in JS without downtime, and monitor and respond with confidence. Here's the big picture in one line per chunk. Why this matters. Threats you'll actually face. Leaked tokens, SSRF, lateral movement, why inside the VPC is not a shield. The crypto that works, TLS13 defaults, safe ciphers, session resumption, and when to leave 0RTT off. Identity that travels, MTLS done right with Spiff Spire so every request proves who's talking. Certs on autopilot, Cert Manager plus Acme so renewals happen quietly and on time. Edges and CDNs, terminate at the edge, keep the backhaul confidential and authenticated. SNI, HTTP2, HTTP3, fast protocols without gotchas, plus clean fallbacks. Webhooks that don't get spoofed, verify signatures, timestamps, and make handlers idempotent. Token keys in JWKS, rotate kids on schedule without breaking clients. Monitoring that matters, dashboards for TLS versions, cipher mix, stapling, webhook verification, and error spikes. Drill and recover, a clock-based playbook to rotate certs and keys under pressure. Action plan, a 30, 60, 90-day roadmap with owners and easy wins. What you'll be able to do after this section of the video. Design with TLS 1.3 as the default and TLS 1.2 as the floor. Implement MTLS using Spiff Spire so services prove identity with short-lived certs. Automate certificates with Cert Manager and Acme and set safe renewal windows. Validate your posture using testSSL.sh in CI and SSL Labs for public hosts. Secure webhooks with signature checks, timestamps, and replay windows. Rotate signing keys in JWKS using KID-based rollovers and cache-safe TTLs. Monitor the right signals and respond fast when something drifts. Here's the challenge we're solving. Long videos can feel like wandering in the dark. Too many tools, unclear order, and no clear win markers. So we're giving you signposts at every step, one-liners you can copy, and small victories you can rack up as you go. Let's break the journey into clean stages with a tiny example for each. Why? Threats. You'll see how one leaked CI token can pivot inside a cluster, and how MTLS turns that into noise. How? TLS 1.3 PKI MTLS. We'll flip on TLS 1.3, trim weak ciphers, and show a safe resumption setup, no drama. Ops, KMS mesh monitoring. Keys live in KMS, the mesh handles MTLS by default, and dashboards tell you when something's off. Edge cases, CDN termination with confidential backhaul, SNI mismatches, HTTP2 versus HT3 rollouts. Incidents, we'll walk a live key cert rotation timeline, T plus 15 minutes disable, T plus 30 reissue, T plus 60 verify. The plan, clear 30, 60, 90-day steps so you don't stall after the video ends. Watch for the key moment. Midway through, you'll have TLS 1.3 on the edge and a Cert Manager renewal working end-to-end. By the finish, you'll run a JWKS KID rotation without a single client error. That's the proof you can ship this without breaking anything. Quick summary so you can track the flow. We go from why, threats, TLS 1.3, PKI, MTLS, to ops, KMS, mesh, monitoring, then into edge cases, incidents, and finally a 30, 60, 90-day plan. Clear signposts, one-liners you can paste into tickets, and examples that match the real world. Ready to lock in the roadmap and hit your first checkpoint? Keep watching for the threat map and quick wins. Your private network isn't private. It's a fast hallway, and if someone gets one toe inside, they can sprint. Here's the plan for this part. I'm going to tell you 3 quick breach stories that actually happen. A leaked CI token, an SSRF hop, and a CDN backhaul mix-up. Then I'll show how encrypting service-to-service traffic, TLS 1.3 at the edge, MTLS inside, shrinks the blast. We'll map this to OWASP ASVS 4.0 v9 communications and zero trust so you have solid ground to stand on. By the end, you'll know exactly why inside the VPC is not enough and which knobs to turn first. Let's start with the pushback we all hear. It's inside our network. We don't need TLS. It's slower. It's complicated. That sounds nice until one small mistake turns the inside into the outside. Misconfigurations happen, roles get overprivileged, someone leaves verify equal false in a client, and hybrid workers jump between home Wi-Fi, coffee shops, and VPNs. So assume breach, prove identity, and encrypt everything in transit. That's zero trust in one line. Story 1. The leaked CI token and the noisy hallway. A build token leaks from a log. An attacker uses it to get a shell in your cluster. Classic lateral movement. They scan for open ports, curl internal APIs, and try to grab secrets off the wire. If your services talk in plain text or trust the IP, they're in. But if your services require mutual TLS, the game changes. With MTLS, identity rides in a short-lived certificate, not in an IP or a header anyone can forge. The attacker's curl fails the handshake because they don't have a valid client cert. Even if they sit on the network tap, TLS 1.3 turns the traffic into static, confidentiality, and integrity by default. Bonus points if your roles aren't overprivileged, but the key move here is encryption plus identity at the transport layer. That's exactly what ASVS v9 pushes for. Protect communications in all tiers, not just at the edge. Story 2. SSRF and the misrouted proxy. A tiny bug lets an attacker make your service fetch a URL they control. They aim it at an internal hostname, hello, SSRF, or a proxy rule flips and internal calls accidentally hairpin out to the public internet before coming back in. Without strict TLS, they can sniff or tamper with requests and responses. With proper client behavior and MTLS at the destination, the request still can't impersonate a real service. The client must validate the server's certificate and hostname, SNI set correctly, no verify false. The server demands a client certificate that maps to a known workload identity, no cert, no entry. Even if the route jumps across a sketchy segment, TLS 1.3 keeps content sealed and integrity checks stop silent edits. Net effect, SSRF turns from free internal access into you can make a call, but it's useless without the right identity. That's zero trust. The network is not the trust boundary. Story 3. Supply chain, CDN, and coffee shop Wi-Fi. Your site sits behind a CDN. The edge is shiny and fast. But if the CDN talks to your origin over plain HTTP or unauthenticated TLS, you're one config away from a bad day. A shared network hop, a rogue insider, or a BGP wobble, and someone's peeking. Add hybrid work to the mix. A developer pushes a hotfix over hotel Wi-Fi, and their laptop becomes a noisy neighbor on the local net. The fix is simple and boring, the best kind. Keep TLS 1.3 end-to-end and authenticate the backhaul. Use MTLS or signed origin pulls so the origin knows it's really your CDN, not a random host with the right IP. For employees, TLS 1.3 with HSTS on public endpoints means even on a sketchy network, the payload stays locked and tamper-evident. Encryption doesn't care if the last mile is perfect, it just works. Let's zoom in on how encryption kills the attacker's fun. Eavesdropping becomes static. TLS 1.3 protects the data and the handshake, so sniff traffic is useless. Impersonation hits a wall. MTLS requires a valid client cert tied to a workload identity. No cert, no talk. Tampering is obvious. AED ciphers like ASGCM detect flips and edits, so silent changes get dropped. Lateral movement slows. Even with a shell, the attacker can't reuse the network as a free bus to grab secrets. Now the challenge. But TLS is heavy and tricky. In 2025, that's outdated. TLS 1.3 is faster to handshake than the old stuff, and service meshes make MTLS the default with almost no code changes. The hard part is not the math, it's the habit. Set policies once, enforce everywhere, and watch the dashboards for drift. Here's the key moment I want you to picture. An attacker runs curl against your internal payments API from a compromised pod. Before you changed anything, the call worked. After you flip to MTLS and hostname validation, the handshake fails, logs show an unknown identity, and nothing leaks. At the same time, a testSL.h run shows only TLS 1.2 plus in use, TLS 1.3 preferred, and SSL Labs bumps you to an A because weak ciphers are gone. That's the calm we're after. Quick wrap so you can repeat this in a design review. Inside isn't safe by default. Leaked creds, overprivileged roles, and misrouted proxies turn internal into public. Encrypt everywhere. TLS 1.3 for speed and safety, no verified false, correct SNI, HSTS for public sites. Prove identity, not location. MTLS with short-lived certs so a request can't pretend to be a service. Align with standards. OWASP ASVS 4.0 v9 says protect all transport layers. Zero Trust says assume breach and verify explicitly. If you ever hear, we're fine, it's private, you now have 3 real stories and a clean fix. Encrypt, authenticate, and monitor. That's how you make the inside of your network as safe as the outside should be. Roll into the next section where we flip these reasons into TLS 1.3 and MTLS defaults you can copy today. If you can remember 3 acronyms, you can make your traffic safe, even if someone steals your server key. AAD, ECDHE, PFS. That's the whole game. Here's what we're doing in the next few minutes. I'll define each term in one plain sentence, then show where it plugs into TLS 1.3 so you can pick the right settings without touching any math. Keep these in your head and the rest of the video will feel easy. Symmetric crypto first. One key locks and the same key unlocks. It's fast and great for bulk data. In TLS, once the handshake finishes, your app data is protected with a symmetric cipher. Asymmetric crypto is a padlock anyone can close, but only the owner can open. There's a public key, shareable, and a private key, keep secret. In TLS, the server proves who it is with a certificate and private key. With MTLS, the client proves itself too. AAD means authenticated encryption with associated data. Think of it as a lock plus a tamper seal in one go. It hides your data and also proves nobody messed with it. TLS 1.3 uses AAD ciphers like ASGCM and ChaCha20 Poly 1305 for every record. That dual property, confidentiality and integrity, is why AAD matters. No silent bit flips, no sneaky edits. If anything changes in transit, the record gets dropped. If you want the spec, that's RFC 5116. AES-GCM versus ChaCha20 Poly 1305 in one breath. AES-GCM is super fast on servers with AES-NI hardware. ChaCha20 Poly 1305 shines on mobile and older CPUs. TLS 1.3 lets clients and servers pick the best one they both support. Either way, you get AEAD. ECDHE is elliptic curve Diffie-Hellman ephemeral. Translation: both sides create short-lived secrets and mix them to agree on a shared key without sending the key itself. No one watching can recover the key from the handshake. In TLS 1.3, ECDHE is the standard way to do the key exchange. Perfect forward secrecy (PFS) means that even if someone steals your long-term private key later, they still can't decrypt past sessions. Why? Because each session used fresh throwaway keys from ECDHE. TLS 1.3 makes PFS the default. That's a huge safety net. Let's map this to a real handshake. Your client connects to your server. The server shows its certificate, asymmetric keys, to prove identity. Both sides run ECDHE to create a brand new shared secret key exchange. After that, all app data is encrypted and authenticated with AES-GCM, or ChaCha20 Poly 1305 using symmetric keys. Sniffers see static, tinkerers get rejected. That full story is in RFC 8446, the TLS 1.3 spec. Here's the common snag. Crypto sounds scary, so teams leave old settings around: verify equals false, RSA key exchange, weak ciphers, or confusing TLS 1.2 menus. That's how you lose integrity or PFS without noticing. So let's turn the terms into choices you can copy. On servers, enable TLS 1.3 and prefer these suites: TLS AES 128 GCM SHA-256 and TLS ChaCha20 SHA-256. Keep TLS 1.2 only as a fallback with ECDHE and AED ciphers. Ditch CBC and RSA key exchange. On clients, always validate the certificate chain and hostname. Set SNI correctly. Never use verified false. In meshes or gateways, require MTLS, so the client also presents a cert. Identity is now tied to a key, not an IP. Picture the key moment. An attacker records your traffic today and later steals your server's private key. With TLS 1.3 plus ECDHE PFS, those recordings are still useless. No master key exists to unlock them. And if they try to flip a byte in transit, AEAD catches it and the message dies quietly. Quick recap, you can say out loud: symmetric is the fast lock for your data. Asymmetric proves who's who. ECDHE is how we agree on a secret without sending it. PFS means stolen long-term keys don't open old sessions. AEAD hides data and proves it wasn't changed. In TLS 1.3, you get all of this by default when you pick modern cipher suites and keep hostname validation on. Ready to put this into practice with real settings you can paste? Jump to the TLS 1.3 setup next. TLS 1.3 is like skipping the small talk and getting straight to business. Fewer round trips, stronger defaults, less junk to misconfigure. In the next few minutes, I'll show you what changed from TLS 1.2 to 1.3, why it's faster and safer by design, and the exact settings you should turn on. We'll also hit session resumption, tickets, and the one landmine: zero RTT replays. Quick contrast so it clicks. TLS 1.2 needed more back and forth to start talking, had a giant cipher zoo, optional forward secrecy, and old parts like CBC, compression, renegotiation, and static RSA key exchange, the stuff that kept causing CVEs. TLS 1.3 trims it down. One round trip to handshake, forward secrecy is mandatory, ECDHE, only modern AED ciphers, AES-GCM, ChaCha20 Poly 1305, no renegotiation, no compression, no CBC, and no static RSA key exchange. Cleaner, faster, safer. That's RFC 8446 in plain English. Why it's faster? One fewer round trip means you save at least one full network ping per new connection. If your RTT is 90 milliseconds, you just shaved 90 milliseconds off the first request. Huge on mobile, cross-region, or Wi-Fi. Plus, resumption with tickets lets repeat clients skip most of the handshake work. Why it's safer. PFS is built in. Every session uses fresh ECDHE keys, so even if a private key leaks next month, old traffic stays locked. The cipher menu is short and only AEAD, AES GCM, and ChaCha20 Poly 1305. Integrity and confidentiality happen together, so silent bit flips get caught. Defaults to use without overthinking it. Protocols. Enable TLS 1.3. Keep TLS 1.2 as a floor for legacy. Disable TLS 1.110. Cipher suites. TLS 1.3. TLS AES 1128 GCM SHA-56. TLS AES 256 GCA 384. TL ChaCha 201305 SHA-56. Cipher suites. TLS 1.2. Fallback only. ECDHE with AA. ECDHE RSA 28 GCM 256. ECDHE RSA CHA-20 TAP Poly 1305. Drop CBC in anything with RSA key exchange. Curves groups. X2559 first, then SecP256R1, 56. Verification. Always validate the certificate chain and hostname. Set SNI. Never use verify equals false. MTLS. Require client certs where services call services. Identity tied to keys, not IPs. Session resumption and tickets in plain terms. When a client comes back, the server can issue a ticket, a small secret, so they can resume quickly later. In TLS 1.3, these are PSKs, pre-shared keys. It's fast and safe by default, especially when combined with ECDHE during resumption to keep PFS. Your job: rotate ticket encryption keys often, cap ticket lifetime, hours to a day, and limit how many tickets you issue per handshake. Zero RTT early data, the speed boost with a footnote. Zero RTT lets a resumed client send data immediately before the handshake finishes. It's fast, but it can be replayed by an attacker on another connection. So only allow zero RTT for truly idempotent endpoints, think get head, and block it for anything that changes state. No charges, no writes, no deletes. If you don't want to think about it, leave zero RTT off. That matches the best practice guidance in RFC 9325. Here's the real-world challenge. Many teams stick to TLS 1.2 because it works and they fear breaking clients. The result is a messy config with weak suites and surprise latency. The fix is boring and safe. Turn on TLS 1.3, keep a clean TLS 1.2 fallback, and trim everything else. Picture the key moment. You flip your load balancer to prefer TLS 1.3, keep only A8 suites, set curves to X2559 PF6, and disable zero RTT. Your P95 handshake time drops by a round trip. SSL Labs moves you up a grade, and your error logs go quiet because renegotiation and old cipher weirdness just disappear. Quick summary you can copy into a ticket. Enable TLS 1.3, keep TLS 1.2 with ECDHE plus 8 only, prefer TLS AES 28 GCM SHA-256 and TLS ChaCha20 Poly 1305 SHA-256. Pick X2519's P256, enable resumption with rotating tickets, and leave zero RTT off unless endpoints are idempotent and protected. Ready to turn these choices into exact configs for Nginx, Envoy, and cloud load balancers. Watch the setup section next. PKI doesn't have to be scary. If your key leaked today, would you need a fire drill, or would a short timer make it a non-event? Here's what we're doing right now. I'll show you what a certificate chain actually is, how clients validate it, and the few ops choices that make revocation drama disappear. We'll stay practical, map it to RFC 5280 and NIST SP 852R3, and give you defaults you can copy. Start with the picture in your head, a chain. At the bottom is your leaf cert, the one your service presents. Above it is an intermediate CA that signed it. At the top is a root CA that signed the intermediate. Clients already trust the root because it lives in their trust store. Validation is just, can I walk from this leaf up to a root I trust, and does everything make sense along the way? X.509 basics in one breath. A cert holds a subject, who it's for, a public key, an issuer, who signed it, a validity window, not before, not after, and extensions that say what it can be used for. Host names live in the SAN, subject alternative name field. Modern clients match SAN, not CN. So put every hostname in SAN and stop relying on CN, it's legacy. What clients actually check: is there a full chain to a trusted root? Leaf intermediate S root. Ship the intermediate with your server so clients don't have to fetch it. Does the hostname match a SAN entry? The S in a host must match the SAN. CN is not enough. Is the cert currently valid? Not expired, not in the future. Is the key allowed for this use? Key usage in EKU should include server auth for servers, client auth for MTLS clients. Is it revoked? Clients try OCSP or CRLs per RFC 5280, but many soft fail if the responder is down. That's why your ops choices matter. OCSP and CRLs without the pain. OCSP is a real-time "is this cert okay" check. CRLs are downloadable lists of bad certs. Both can be slow or flaky. The fix is OCSP stapling. Your server fetches a signed OCSP answer from the CA and staples it into the handshake. Clients get a fresh, privacy-friendly revocation check with no extra network hop. Make stapling your default. Short-lived certs are your safety net. If a key leaks, time handles most of the risk. Public endpoints. 90-day certs are the norm. Internal MTLS certs, hours to a few days. Rotate automatically well before expiry. Short lifetimes mean you rarely need to revoke at all. Must staple is the strict mode. It tells clients fail if there's no valid OCSP staple. Only turn this on when stapling is rock solid across every edge, proxy, and CDN path you use. If any hop drop staples, users will see hard fails. HSTS is your belt and suspenders for the web. It tells browsers to always use HTTPS for your domain, blocking downgrade and cookie leaks. Set a safe max age, include subdomains when you're ready, and only consider preloading when you're 100% confident. Let's tie this to real pain you've seen. Missing intermediate. Your site works for you but breaks for customers. Fix. Serve the full chain, leaf plus intermediate, not the root, and verify with SSL Labs. SAN mismatch. The cert says api.example.com, clients call internal api.example.com. Fix. Add all host names to SAN and align SNI host. Revocation lag. A key leaks and you panic revoke. Half your clients soft fail and still trust it. Others time out on OCSP. Fix. Short-lived certs plus stapling and use revocation for high-risk cases only. Internal PKI without the headache. Keep your root CA offline. Use one or more intermediates to sign leaf certs. Distribute only the intermediate and root to your trust bundles. Never hand out the root key. Automate issuance and renewal with an internal CA or Spire cert manager. Lean on hours to days lifetimes so revocation is rare. Scope intermediates by environment, prod versus dev, so you can pull an intermediate without nuking everything. Operational defaults you can copy. Public, 90-day Acme certs, auto-renew at 30 days, OCSP stapling on, full chain served, HSTS enabled after testing. Internal, leaf cert TTL 2072 hours, MTLS required, intermediates rotated yearly, roots rotated rarely and offline. Revocation, enable stapling, monitor staple freshness 3 to 7 days old, only use must staple when every edge, CDN, LB proxy, passes staples end to end. Monitoring, alerts for expiry 14 days, staple age 7 days, SAN mismatch, chain build errors, and sudden spike in handshake failures. Here's the common challenge. Revocation is messy. OCSP responders go down. CRLs are huge. Clients soft fail. That's why teams either ignore revocation or overcorrect and break traffic. The way out is boring and effective. Short-lived certs, stapling everywhere, and clean chains. Let's walk the fix. You switch your load balancer to serve the full chain and enable OCSP stapling. You cut your public certs to 90 days with auto-renew and drop a dashboard tile that shows staple freshness. For internal MTLS, you issue 24-hour certs and renew at 12 hours. A week later, a key rolls. Nothing blows up, and your revocation button gathers dust. That's the point. Key moment to notice. Before, a missing intermediate made random clients fail and OCSP checks timed out. After these changes, SSL Labs shows an A. The chain is complete, stapling is green, and a test revocation doesn't cause page load delays. The blast radius shrank to the lifetime of a cert. Quick recap you can use in a review. Certificates are chains, leaf, intermediate, root. Ship the intermediate, trust the root. Validate the right things. SAN matches hostname, time window valid, EKU correct, chain builds, revocation covered. Kill revocation drama, short-lived certs plus OCSP stapling. Use must staple only when stapling is solid. Web Safety Net enable HSTS once you're ready. Standards check. RFC 5280 rules chain and revocation. NIST SP 852R3 backs modern TLS settings and lifetimes. Ready to turn this PKI baseline into MTLS for services without manual tickets? Jump to the MTLS setup next. Still trusting IPs inside your cluster? That's how imposters sneak in. MTLS makes identity travel with every request, so you know exactly who you're talking to, not just where they came from. In the next few minutes, you'll get what MTLS actually does, how the handshake works, how to map cert SANs to real workloads, where to use it, service mesh, B2B APIs, and where you still need app layer auth with tokens. Think of MTLS like a driver's license. It proves it's really you at the wheel, but it doesn't say you can park anywhere. That permission, what you can do, lives in your app's authorization. Here's the handshake in plain language. In TLS 1.3, both sides prove identity with certificates. The server shows its cert, the client checks the chain, hostname, SAN, and validity. Then the server asks the client for a cert, the client sends one, the server checks that chain and SAN too. At the end, you get an encrypted tunnel plus 2 verified identities. What's inside those certs? Look at the SAN, subject alternative name. That's where the identity lives. For services, use SAN values you can match in policy, like DNS names, cluster.local, or a URI, a SPIF ID, such as spiff/prod/ns/payments/API. Map that SAN to a workload in your registry, namespace, service account, environment. Short-lived certs keep it fresh and hard to steal. What MTLS gives you, peer authentication, this really is service A talking to service B. Encryption on the wire, nobody can read or edit the traffic. A stable identity you can log and authorize against. What MTLS does not give you, user identity. It knows which service, not which end user. Authorization decisions, it can't decide if payments may refund $500. Your app must check that. Business context like scopes, roles, or tenant. Where MTLS shines, inside a service mesh, Istio, linkered, console. Sidecars or proxies handle certs and handshakes for you. B2B and partner APIs at the edge. Gateways can require client certs from partners. Webhooks only accept calls from clients with trusted certs, then verify the webhook signature too. Origin to CDN backhaul. Authenticate your CDN to your origin so random hosts can't pose as your edge. Databases and internal admin panels, where you usually skip MTLS, public browsers and mobile apps. Client certs are painful for humans. Use TLS plus OAuth OpenID Connect and keep MTLS for service-to-service behind the scenes. The challenge most teams hit, turning on MTLS and breaking traffic. Common causes. The SAN on the client cert doesn't match what the server expects. The server trusts the wrong CA. An app reads X-forwarded client cert from the open internet. Never do that. Or certs expire with no automation. Let's fix that with a clean pattern. Identity model. Choose a SAN format. With SPIF, use a URI like spiff/prod/ns/orders//API. Without SPIF, use DNS SANs that match a real service name. Policy on the server, allow list SAN patterns per route. Example, only spiff prod ns payments/API may call post v1 settlements. Trust, the server trusts only your intermediate CA, not the world. Keep routes offline and intermediate scope per environment. Automation, issue short-lived certs, hours to days, and renew automatically. Proxies or meshes should reload certs without restarts. Propagation, if you want the app to know the caller identity, have the local proxy inject a header from the verified peer cert, like a sanitized X-peer SAN, to localhost only. Never trust that header from the network. How MTLS and tokens work together. MTLS says who is talking, workload identity. A token says what it's allowed to do, scopes claims. Require both for sensitive calls. The client cert SAN must match an allow list, and the JWT must validate issuer, audience, expiry, signature with the right scopes. Bonus, bind tokens to MTLS so they can't be replayed without the same cert. Sender constrained tokens. Do per request authorization in the app or policy engine, RBAC, ABAC, using the MTLS identity plus token claims. Picture the key moment. An attacker lands a pod in your cluster and tries to hit the orders API. The TLS handshake fails because they don't have a valid client cert from your CA. They steal a JA and try again at the edge. This time, the proxy says, nice token, wrong cert, and drops it. A real call from Payments API passes MTLS, but then the app checks the token scope and denies a refund over the limit. Identity proved, permissions enforced. Quick wrap you can repeat. MTLS proves who's talking and encrypts the channel. It doesn't grant business rights. Map cert SANs to real workloads, spiff URI or DNS, and allow list them per route. Use MTLS in meshes, partner links, webhooks, and backhaul. Skip it for human browsers. Keep certs short-lived and automated. Never trust identity headers from the network. Combine MTLS with tokens for authorization. Watch the setup next. If your private key sits on a disk only your cat has seen, Move it now. Put the key in KMS or in HSM. Let apps hold a handle, not the key. Here's the plan. I'll show a simple flow you can copy. Generate keys inside a KMS HSM, store only references in config, rotate on a schedule, and audit everything. Along the way, we'll hit envelope encryption, access controls, rotation cadence, and 2 hidden foundations most teams forget: good randomness and accurate time. First, where private keys should live. HSMs are hardware safes. The private key is born inside and never leaves. KMS is the managed version of that. The provider runs HSMs and gives you an API. Use them to generate keys, sign, decrypt, or unwrap without exporting the private key. For TLS or signing keys, generate inside KMS HSM and only export the public key. For data at rest, use KMS to create and protect data keys. Access control and audit are the real magic. Give services the smallest rights. Can decrypt with key X or can sign with key Y, not KSMI. Split duties so no single person can both rotate and delete. Turn on audit logs so every decrypt sign call writes who, what key, when, and from where. Set deletion to require a waiting period and 2 approvals. Envelope encryption in plain English. Don't encrypt big blobs with your main KMS key. Instead, generate a random data key, DE, per file, object, or record using KMS. Encrypt the data locally with AE, AEGCM, or ChaCha Poly 1305 using that DEC. Ask KMS to wrap, encrypt the DK with your key, the KEK, and store ciphertext wrapped DEC to read, unwrap DEC via KMS, decrypt data, wipe the DEC from memory. This is faster, cheaper, and safe. Rotate the KEK without re-encrypting all data. Rewrap DEGs on your schedule. Rotation cadence that won't wake you at 3 a.m. Data keys DECs. New one per object or batch by default. No rotation needed, just create fresh. KMS customer keys. Auto-rotate yearly. Rewrap DEKs gradually. TLS MTLS certs, hours to days for internal, 90 days public. JWT signing keys, 90 to 180 days with overlap. Publish both in JWKS during rollout. Database passwords and API tokens, 30 to 90 days with dual cred support so you can switch without downtime. Use staged rollouts. Publish the new key, accept both old and new for a window, then retire the old. Hidden foundations that break crypto when ignored. RNG quality. Use the OS cryptographic RNG, get random, dev urandom. Never roll your own or seed with time. On VM's containers, make sure there's enough entropy or a jitter hardware source. NIST SP890A is the playbook. Time sync, bad clocks, broken TLS and tokens. Certs look not yet valid or expired. OCSP staples look stale, and JDTs reject. Sync with multiple NTP sources, Crony or systemd time sync D. Use authenticated NTP-S if you can. Alert on drift 1 second. Common footguns to avoid. Baking secrets into images, repos, or CI logs. Exportable private keys when you don't need export. One giant KMS key used by every environment. IAM policies like KMS decrypt on NA. Rotating at midnight for everything at once. Forgetting to wipe decrypted secrets from memory and temp files. Backups that store plain text or unwrapped DECs. Now let's put it together with a dead simple blueprint. Generate an HSM KMS. Create a non-exportable key, signing decrypt, or ask KMS to generate data keys. Store references, not secrets. Configs hold key aliases ARNs. Apps call KMHSM to sign decrypt. Encrypt with envelope. DEC was AED for data. Wrap DEC with KMS key. Store ciphertext wrap DEC. Rotate on schedule. KEGs yearly. JWTLS keys quarterly-ish. Passwords monthly. Always overlap old new. Audit everything. Enable KMS HSM logs. Alert on unusual decrypt sign rates, off-hours access, or new regions. Limit blast radius. Separate keys per app env, prod versus dev, per tenant if needed, and per data class. Here's the challenge you'll hit. Legacy apps expect raw keys on disk. Don't cave. Put a thin shim in front, an agent or library that talks to KMS HSM, so the app holds a handle, not the key. If a tool absolutely needs a file, put it in a TMPS with tight permissions, reload from KMS on boot, and rotate to kill it often. Picture the key moment. An attacker lands on a server and searches for private keys. They find only key IDs. They try KMS decrypt and get denied by IAM. You see the spike in audit logs, rotate the key alias to a fresh version, and carry on. No mass secret reset, no all-hands fire drill. Quick recap you can drop in a ticket. Keys live in KMS HSM. Apps get handles, not raw keys. Use envelope encryption. AED for data, KMS to wrap DECs. Least privileged audit on every decrypt sign. 2-person delete disable. Rotate with overlap. KEKs yearly, TLSJ regularly. Passwords 30 to 90 days. automate all of it. Don't forget the basement. Strong RNG and solid NTP keep the whole thing upright. NIST SP 857 and 898 back these choices. Watch the rotation and automation setup next. Your TLS cert should renew itself while you sleep. If a failed cron can take your site down, this is for you. Here's the plan for the next few minutes. I'll explain Acme in one sentence, compare the two challenge types, HTTP01 versus DNS01, and show how Cert Manager in Kubernetes turns that into hands-off renewals. You'll leave with safe renewal windows and staggered rollouts that prevent downtime. This follows RFC 85v5, and yes, Let's Encrypt and internal Acme both fit. Acme in one line. It's a robot handshake with a CA where you prove, I control this domain, and in return you get a short-lived cert automatically. Let's Encrypt is the popular public CA. You can also run an internal Acme server for private names. Two ways to prove control. The HCA asks you to serve a one-time token at well-known/Acme challenge. Pros: simple, fast. Cons: needs port 80 open, breaks behind some CDNs, path rewrites, or split routing. DNS01. The CA asks you to create a TXT record under ecmechallenge.yourdomain. Pros: works for wildcards, .example.com, CDNs, and private services. No need to open port 80. Cons: needs API access to your DNS in time for DNS to propagate. Rule of thumb: use HTTP01 for a straightforward site you control end-to-end. Use DNS01 for wildcards, multi-region, anything behind a CDN, or when port 80 isn't an option. Now, Cert Manager in Kubernetes, the autopilot. It adds custom resources so the cluster can request and renew certs for you. Cluster Issuer points at an Acme server, Let's Encrypt or internal, and defines the solver, HT1 or DNS01. Certificate says, please keep a cert for these domains in this secret. Cert Manager creates orders and challenges under the hood. For HTTP01, Cert Manager spins up a tiny solver and routes the challenge path through your ingress. For DNS01, it uses your DNS provider's API to drop a TXT record, waits for propagation, gets the cert, then cleans up. Your app mounts the secret. The ingress gateway reads it. When Cert Manager renews, it writes the same secret name, and the controller hot reloads. No manual restarts if your stack watches files. Internal Acme is the same flow, different CA. Point the cluster issuer to your internal Acme endpoint, like StepK or Vault's Acme. Make sure your trust bundle is on clients, and use DNS01 on your private zone. Now you can automate MTLS and private hostnames without opening the internet. Here's the downtime trap. Waiting until the last minute to renew. If a single job fails or DNS is slow, you face an outage. So we flip the script. Set a 30-day renewal window on a 90-day cert. That way a failed cron isn't an outage, it's an alert. In Cert Manager, use Renew Before to renew early. Add jitter so hundreds of certs don't hit the CA at the same minute. For DNS01, set a realistic propagation timeout and give Cert Manager a DNS token with least privilege. Only update Acme challenge records. Make rollouts boring. Stagger by namespace or label, and let Cert Manager randomize renewals. Keep secret names stable so ingress controllers swap in the new cert without config changes. Choose servers that reload certs on file change, Envoy, Haproxy, Nginx with reload. If not, add a tiny sidecar to trigger a graceful reload. Test first with Let's Encrypt staging endpoint to avoid rate limits, then switch the issuer to production. Watch metrics, expiry days, challenge errors, and rate limit hits. Alert at 30 days, page at 7. Key security notes you'll thank yourself for. Don't commit DNS API keys to Git. Store them in Kubernetes secrets with tight RBAC. If you need wildcards, go DNS01. HTTP01 can't do wildcards. Behind CDNs, either use DNS01 or make sure the CDN passes the exact challenge path without caching. For lots of subdomains, consider a wildcard plus a few specific SANs to dodge duplicate cert rate limits. Picture the key moment. It's midnight, 12 hours before a big launch. One domain's renewal fails on the first try. No panic. Because you set Renew Before with 30D, Cert Manager retries, flips to a fresh cert, ingress hot reloads, and users never notice. Quick recap. AP Automatic Prove Domain Gets Cert, RFC 855. Public, Let's Encrypt, or internal both work. HTTP01 is simple. DNS01 handles wildcards, CDNs, and private zones. Cert Manager wires this into Kubernetes with Issuer, Cluster Issuer, and Certificate CRDs. It solves, renews, and updates secrets for you. Avoid downtime with early renewals, jittered schedules, stable secret names, and hot reloads. Test and staging, monitor forever. Watch the hands-on setup next. Still trusting IPs to prove identity? Give every service a passport it can't fake. In the next few minutes, you'll learn how Spiff names every workload with a stable ID, how Spire hands out short-lived credentials, and how that plugs into MTLS and your mesh. We'll hit Spiff IDs, Spire's server agent model, X509 SVID versus JDWAT SVID, Kubernetes and VM attestation, and a simple policy mindset you can copy from spiff.io docs. Start with the name tag, a Spiff ID. It looks like Spiff as trust domain/path. Make it human and scoped. For Kubernetes, a common pattern is spiff-ns payments/API. That string is the workload's identity everywhere, cluster, region, even across clouds. Now, who gives out the IDs? Spire does. Think of two pieces. Spire Server, the brain in CA. It knows your trust domain, your policies, and signs short-lived credentials. Spire Agent runs on every node. It proves the node is legit, checks what's running, and hands the right workload its identity over a local socket. How does Spire know it's your node in your pod? Attestation. Kubernetes, the agent uses the cluster API and service account data to verify which pod is which. You write simple registration entries that say pods in namespace payments with service account API get this Spiff ID. VMs, the agent can verify the machine using cloud instance identity, AWS GCP TPM, or other signals. It then uses process user paths to match the workload and issue the right ID. What credential do workloads actually get? An SVID, a Spiff verifiable identity document. A short-lived X509 cert with your Spiff ID in the URI SAN. Perfect for MLS. Lifetimes are typically minutes to hours. No revocation drama, just rotate often. JDate SVID, a short-lived signed jet carrying the Spiff ID. Great for HTTP calls, OIDC bridges, or when TLS termination is out of your hands. Give every pod a passport, spiff/prod/payments. Spire checks it's really your pod, then hands it a short-lived cert for MTLS. Tie it into MTLS policy so it actually does something. Authentication. Proxies like Envoy, Istio, Linkerd, or Consul can fetch X509 SVIDs from the Spire agent via SDS Workload API. MTLS uses those certs, so every connection comes with a Spiff ID. Authorization. Write allow rules by ID, not by IP. Allow Spiff, prods, payments, to call V1 settlements. Everyone else gets a foroth. Observability. Log the caller's Spiffy ID. Now your traces and audits show who actually called, not which node they came from. Where this fits in your stack. Inside a mesh. Point sidecars at the Spire agent. They auto-rotate vids and reload certs. Your mesh already understands Spiff IDs for policies. At gateways and B2B edges, terminate TLS with Spiff-aware proxies, validate the peer's Spiff ID, then map to roles scopes. Across clusters, run one Spire server per trust domain and federate if you need cross-domain trust. The common snag, bootstrapping and drift. Bootstrap. The agent must trust the server's root, and the server must trust the agent's attestation, cluster, cloud, or TPM. Do this once, then let short lifetimes carry the risk away. Drift. If time is wrong, certs look expired. If labels change, identities break. Keep NTP healthy and keep registration entries in code Git so changes are reviewed. Let's build a simple mental model you can copy. Define the trust domain, prod.example or just prod. Pick your ID pattern, spiff/prod ns namespace ss service account. Write registration entries, selector, spiff ID. Keep them tight, namespace SA labels. Set lifetime short 30 to 60 minutes with auto-renew. Agents handle refresh. Apps just keep using the socket. Plug into MTLS. Sidecars fetch SVIDs. Your policy engine allow lists Spiff IDs per route. For HTTP where MTLS isn't possible, mint JIT vids at the edge and validate audience, expiry, and signature inside. Picture the key moment. An attacker pops a pod in the cluster and tries to hit orders. The Spire agent won't issue an SVID because the pod's namespace and service account don't match any entry. No SVID, no MTLS, no entry. A real call from Payments API gets a fresh X509 SVID, dials orders with MTLS, and the policy says ID matches, method allowed, green light. Quick recap. Spiff gives every workload a stable ID, spiff/trust domain/. Spire server is the CA and policy brain. Spire agent runs on each node and issues vids after attestation. Use X509 SVID for MTLS SVID for HTTP edge cases. Both are short-lived on purpose. A test on Kubernetes or VMs so identities are tamper-resistant. Rotate often so revocation is just time. In the mesh, authorized by SPIF ID, log the ID, and forget about IP allow lists. Watch the mesh policy setup next. Turning on MTLS shouldn't feel like cutting the wrong wire in a movie. Your mesh can make it the easy default. Here's the game plan. We'll hit Istio and linkered basics, sidecars versus ambient, what permissive and strict MTLS actually do, how to layer auth-z policies, and how to roll it out namespace by namespace without breaking prod. We'll also cover performance so you don't trade security for slow. Service mesh in 1 minute. You add a data plane that sits between services. With sidecars, each pod gets a tiny proxy. With ambient, Istio's newer model, nodes run shared proxies, z-tunnels, waypoints, so you skip per pod sidecars. Either way, the mesh handles certificates, MTLS, retries, and policy. Istio uses Envoy. Linkered uses a super lean Rust proxy. MTLS modes you need to know. Permissive, accepts plaintext and MTLS. Great for discovery. The proxy will do MTLS with meshed peers, but won't block legacy callers yet. Strict, requires MTLS. Any plaintext caller gets denied. This is the end state you want. Auth-z policies add the lock on the door after the door is closed. Istio, authorization policy can allow deny by SPIF ID service account, namespace, methods, paths. Linkered, server and server authorization let you define which identities can talk to which ports and routes. Use identity, not IPs. Payments can call orders, V1 settlements. Everything else gets a 403. Sidecars versus ambient. What changes for you? Sidecars, mature per pod isolation, clear traffic capture. Overhead is extra hops and some CPU RAM per pod. Ambient, lower per pod overhead, faster onboarding, no app restarts, but newer and you'll plan for shared proxy capacity. Pick one. Don't mix modes in the same namespace early on. Performance truth so you can sleep at night. TLS 1.3 plus connection reuse keeps handshake cost tiny. Most calls ride long-lived tunnels. Use hardware-friendly ciphers, AES GCM on CPSNI, Cha-Cha 20 Poly 1305 on the rest. Watch P95, P99 latency, and CPU on proxies. Turn down overly chatty logs and high cardinality metrics. Only enable L7 features where needed. L4 MTLS is cheaper than deep inspection everywhere. Here's the rollout that works in real life. Step 1. Mesh the namespace. Enable injection or ambient join for a single low blast radius namespace. Step 2. Set MTLS to permissive there. Traffic keeps flowing. Meshed peers start using MTLS automatically. Step 3. Find plaintext callers. Use mesh metrics and logs to spot connections without TLS. Fix them by meshing the caller, pointing through the mesh, or allowing a temporary exception for third-party traffic. Step 4. Flip to strict. Now all inbound must be MTLS. Watch error rates and handshake failures. Roll back quickly if needed. Step 5. Add auth-z policies. Allow specific identities to specific services and routes. Start narrow, expand as needed. Step 6. Rinse and repeat per namespace. Go from least critical to most critical. Example timeline. Flip one namespace to permissive on Monday. By Wednesday, fix the few services still talking plaintext. Friday, set strict and watch dashboards. The gotchas that bite teams. Non-meshed clients, jobs, cron, legacy VMs, hitting mesh services. Either mesh them, add an MTLS terminating gateway, or carve out a dedicated port with a clear plan to retire it. Headless stateful services with long-lived connections. Drain and roll gradually. Keep connection pools healthy. Identity drift. If you authorize by service account or SPIF ID, changing names labels can break access. Keep policy in code and PR changes. Egress to third parties. Use an egress gateway that does plain TLS out, MTLS inside. How SPIF Spire plugs in if you use it. Sidecars or ambient proxies fetch short-lived X509S vids from the local agent. Your policies then match on SPIF IDs like SPIFlash, Prods, NS Payments API. Clean, tamper-resistant identities auto-rotated. Let's walk one namespace so you can picture it. You enable the mesh and set permissive. Grafana shows most calls are already MTLS. 2 stragglers are plain text. A batch job and a monitoring scraper. You mesh the job and point the scraper through the gateway. You flip to strict. Error rate stays flat. Handshake success is 100%. You add an authorization policy. Only Payments API can call orders post V1 settlements. A test from inventory gets a clean 403. Latency change is a blip. CPU on proxies rises slightly but stays under budget. Quick recap. Mesh basics. Istio linkered add proxies that make MTLS the default. Sidecars or ambient both work. Modes: start permissive, end strict, then layer auth Z by identity and route. Rollout: namespace by namespace, fix plaintext, then lock down, keep dashboards and a rollback ready. Perf: reuse connections, pick the right ciphers, avoid heavy L7 everywhere, and watch P95, P99. Guardrails: handle non-meshed callers, plan egress, keep identity-based policies in code. Watch the mesh policy deep dive next. You're one config away from faster TLS and zero downtime, or a replay disaster. Let's make the first one happen. Here's the plan. I'll give you safe defaults, quick carve-outs for legacy, and a clean resumption plus zero RTT playbook. We'll cover recommended AED ciphers, AES GCM, ChaCha20, dual ECDS RSA certs, session tickets in rotation, zero RTT replay risks, and a TLS policy that tracks RFC 9325. Start with sane defaults you can paste today. Prefer TLS 1.3, cipher suites, TLS 828 GCM SHA-256 first, then TLS ChaCha20 Poly 1305 SHA-256, then TLS AES 2566 or GCM SHA-384 if you must. That's it. Allow TLS 1.2 as a fallback with only AEAD suites. ECDHE, ECDSA AES 128 GCR SHA-AE GCM SHA-256 plus the CHA-20 through 5 twins. Kill CBs RC4 and SHA-1. Curves X25519, then P256. Disable compression. Enable OCSP stapling. Signatures and certs that just work. Serve two certs, ECDSA P256 for speed and RSA 2048 for old clients. Servers will pick the right one during the handshake. This keeps performance without breaking grandma's barcode scanner. Session resumption made safe. TLS 1.3 uses PSKs via session tickets. Rotate ticket encryption keys daily. Keep 2 to 3 old keys for 48 to 72 hours so existing sessions still resume, and cap ticket lifetime to 12 to 24 hours. In clusters, share the same ticket keys across instances or through your gateway. Otherwise, half your resumes will miss. For TLS 1.2, prefer a server-side session cache on the load balancer. If you use session tickets, same rotation rules apply. Zero RTT in one line. It saves a round trip, but early data can be replayed. Treat it like a sharp knife. Useful, but don't wave it around. Default rule: disable zero RTT unless the endpoint is idempotent, get, head options, and you've built replay guards. If you enable it, block early data on anything that writes or charges money. Require revalidation after handshake for state changes. Drop in config ideas you can crib. Nginx, SSL protocols TLS v13, TLS v12, SSL ciphers, ECDHE, ECD-AES 128, GCM CHA-56, ECDHE, RSA, CEF38, ECDHE, CHA-25, ECDHE, CHA-20, Polymer 35, SSL ECDH curve X2559P-256, SSL prefer server ciphers off, SSL session cache shared SSL 50 meter, SSL session timeout 1D, SSL session tickets on, rotates SSL session ticket key daily, keep 2 previous, SSL early data off, or gate it per location if absolutely needed. Provide both certs, first ECDSA then RSA. HAP proxy, global, tune DHH param 2048. Bind 4.3 SSL CRDAS list, EDC proxy lists alpnh2. HTTP 1.1 SSL min vel SV1.2 SSL default bind ciphers. ECDHE ESA AES GCM 1286. ECDHE RSA AS 156. ECDA ECDSA CHA-20 Poly 1305. ECDHE RSA CHA-20 SSL default bin cipher suites, TLAs 128 GCM TUF6, TLS CHA-20 Poly 1305 TUF6, TLAS2 Poofy 6 or GSHED 384, TLS tickets on, TLS ticket keys rotated daily, keep past 2, no early data by default, or block writes, HTTP request deny if SSL FC has early data method, post put patch delete, Envoy, TLS minimum protocol version, TLS v12, cipher suite set for 1.2, TLS 1.3 uses defaults, AES-GCM ChaCha, session ticket keys via SDS, rotate daily and keep history, disable zero RTT or route early data only to idempotent clusters, no Java quick notes, Node.js, use TLS 1.3, set ciphers to AES 128 GCM and ChaCha20, curves X2559 P256, don't enable early data. Java 11 Plus, TLS v1.3 on, named groups X25519 P256. Keep zero RTT off unless you implement replay checks in the app layer. Now the snag that burns teams, turning on resumption and zero RTT everywhere, then discovering duplicate orders and weird auth bypass logs. Let's fix it with a clean rulebook. Defaults, TLS 1.3 preferred, AEM 28 GCM 6 first, offer ChaCha20 for mobile ARM, dual ECDSA RSA certs, curves X2559 P256. This matches RFC 935's A plus PFS guidance. Legacy carve-outs allow TLS 1.2 with the GCM Cha-Cha suites, deny anything older, keep the RSA cert for stragglers. Resumption cadence, rotate ticket keys daily, keep 2-3 old keys, ticket lifetime 12 to 24 hours, share keys across instances, monitor resume rates and handshake fallbacks. Zero RTT rules of thumb, off by default, on only for idempotent reads. Log and block early data on state-changing routes. Recheck auth after the handshake. Picture the key moment. Your checkout service used to allow zero RTT. A bot replays the same early data and double charges. You push the new policy, zero RTT denied on write routes, allowed only for gets. Session ticket keys rotate at midnight. Old keys still work for 48 hours. Traffic stays fast. Errors drop to zero. Finance stops pinging you. Quick recap. Use TLS 1.3 with TLS AES 28 GCM 2v6. Keep Cha-Cha 20 as a strong second and allow 1.2 GCM Cha-Cha only for legacy. Serve ECDSA plus RSA certs so modern clients are fast and old ones still connect. Rotate session ticket keys daily. Keep a small history and share them across instances. Treat RTT like Nitro, only on for idempotent stuff, never for writes. Add replay guards. These choices follow RFC 9325 and give you speed without shooting yourself in the foot. Watch the next security tuning video. Your users want faster pages. Your network team wants zero surprises. You can have both with HTTP2 and HTTP3. Here's the plan. We'll flip on HTTP3 the safe way using Alt-SVC, keep clean fallbacks to H2 and H1, and measure the protocol mix so we only roll forward when the graphs smile. Along the way, why H2, H3 cut P95 latency, UDP 443 gotchas, HPAC versus QPAC, why zero RTT matters more on H3, and how observability changes when Quick hides the transport. This lines up with RFC 9000, Quick, and RFC 9114, HTTP3. Why H2, H3 often drop P95 latency. HTTP2 multiplexes many requests over one TCP connection, so fewer handshakes and better use of a single path. HTTP3 does that too, but over Quick on UDP, which avoids TCP head-of-line blocking between streams. If one packet is lost, other streams keep flowing. Quick also does smoother loss recovery and supports connection migration, so a phone switching from Wi-Fi to 5G won't restart the connection. Result, fewer stalls, happier tail latencies. Header compression differences in plain English. HTTP2 uses HPAC. It's great, but can block if a header depends on dynamic table entries that arrive later. HTTP3 uses QPAC, which splits things so headers decode without stalling other streams. Less chance of a single big header causing a pileup. The catch, UDP 443. Quick runs over UDP, and some corporate networks or old firewalls still block or throttle UDP. That's why we roll out with graceful fallback. If UDP is blocked, clients should drop to HTTP2 over TCP and keep moving. Here's the safe rollout. Alt-SV first, everywhere later. Advertise Alt-SVC in responses. Tell clients this site also speaks H3 on 443. Browsers will try H3 on the next request, not mid-flight. Keep H2 and H1 turned on. Don't slam any doors. Start small, 2 regions or 1 canary domain. Example, turn on HTTP3 in 2 regions with Alt-SVC. Keep H2 on everywhere. If corporate networks block UDP, your users still get H2. Watch metrics, protocol mix, H1, H2, H3, handshake errors, UDP drops, P95, P99 latency, and time to first byte. If the curves look good, expand region by region. Why zero RTT matters more on H3. Quick bakes TLS 1.3 into the transport, so resuming a connection with zero RTT can send the first request without a round trip. On mobile or high latency links, that's a real win for TTFB, but early data can be replayed, so allow zero RTT only for idempotent reads, get head, and block it for writes or money-moving endpoints. If you're unsure, leave zero RTT off until you're ready to gate it. What to check in your stack before you flip the switch? Gateways, CDNs. Most big CDNs support HTTP3. Just enable it and they'll handle UDP 443. If you run your own edge, confirm your load balancer supports Quick and has UDP 443 open. Nginx Envoy. Modern versions support HTTP3. Turn on Quick listeners, set Alt-SVC, and keep your H2 listener. Keep timeouts consistent so failover between H3 and H2 feels the same. Firewalls. Allow UDP 443 to the edge nodes. If your WAF is TCP only, put it behind a Quick capable proxy so HTTP semantics still get inspected. Observability shifts with Quick. You won't get classic TCP stats, SYNs, retransmits from the wire because Quick encrypts most transport bits. Plan for server-side metrics and logs. Use Qlog or your server's Quick metrics for RTT, loss, handshake errors, and version stats. Keep access logs the same format so teams can compare H2 versus H3 apples to apples. Track protocol negotiation in logs, which requests used H3, which fell back to H2, and why, e.g. UDP blocked, handshake fail. Add dashboards for protocol mix by region, ASN, and device type. Graceful fallback rules you can copy. Alt-SVC on, H2, H1 stay on. If H3 handshake fails or UDP is blocked, retry over H2 automatically. Keep TLS settings aligned so ciphers and certs don't change between H2 and H3. Set reasonable idle timeouts for Quick. Too short and clients reconnect often. Too long and you waste resources. The common challenge, you enable H3, but a chunk of office traffic drops because a corporate firewall hates UDP, or your dashboards go blind because you relied on TCP stats at the edge. Let's solve it. Start with 2 regions. Enable H3 Plelt FV. Keep H2 everywhere. Monitor protocol mix in P95. Add alerts for rising H3 handshake failure rate, high stateless resets, or UDP packet loss. If they spike, keep those regions on H2 while you debug. Turn off 0RTT at first. When ready, turn it on only for static and read-only endpoints. Block early data on post-delete routes. Educate the team. Quick hides transport details. Point them to Qlog, app-level latency, and protocol mix dashboards instead of TCP retransmit graphs. Picture the key moment. You roll out H3 with Alt-SVC on Monday in 2 edge regions. By Tuesday, mobile users see faster TTFB and your P95 drops. A big customer's office blocks UDP, but their traffic sails along on H2. No tickets, no drama. On Friday, you widen the rollout, 0RTT stays off for writes, and the graphs keep trending down. Quick recap. H2, H3 cut P95 by multiplexing. H3 avoids TCP head of line and handles loss better. Quick runs on UDP 4 for 3, so keep graceful fallback to H2, H1. HPAC versus QPAC. QPAC avoids head of line stalls during header compression. Roll out with Alt-SV. Measure protocol mix, expand slowly. Now 0RTT helps on H3, but only enable it for idempotent reads. Observability shifts to server-side metrics and Qlog. Track H3 versus H2 usage and errors. Watch the next part on tuning your edge. Your host name is probably leaking in clear text on every TLS handshake. Let's fix what we can today and get ready for tomorrow. In the next minutes, I'll show you how SNI routing really works, what leaks on the wire, the classic host versus SNI mismatch that breaks apps, and how to harden your default vhost. Then we'll talk about ECH, Encrypted Client Hello, what it is, where support stands, and how to be ready the moment your CDN flips it on. Plan. Assume SNI is visible today. Plan for ECH tomorrow. First, SNI in one line. During the TLS handshake, the client sends the host name in clear text, the SNI extension, RFC666, so the server knows which certificate and vhost to use. Your edge reads SNI and routes the connection before it ever sees HTTP headers. That's where the pitfall hits. Host versus SNI mismatch. Imagine the TLS SNI says api.example.com, but the HTTP host, or authority, says admin.example.com. The router picks API's cert and upstream based on SNI, but the app logic expects admin. Best case, you get a 421 misdirected request. Worst case, you leak data, send cookies to the wrong backend, or create a weird cache poison. Fix it with 2 simple guardrails. Keep host and I aligned. If they don't match, return a fast 421-400 and log it. In Nginx, compare SSL server name and host. In HAProxy, compare SSL FCSNI with rec.hdr host. In Envoy, match SNI to authority and reject mismatches. Make your default vhost a black hole. The TLS catch-all should present a boring cert or none and return a tiny 421-404 for every request. Don't show a dashboard, don't redirect, don't leak which sites you host. What leaks today, even with perfect HTTPS? The IP address, the SNI hostname in the client hello, and some timing and size hints. With TLS 1.3, the certificate is encrypted, but the hostname in SNI is not. That means on-path observers and some middle boxes can see which site a user is visiting, even if they can't read the page. ECH Encrypted Client Hello changes that. With ECH RFC 9337, the client encrypts the sensitive part of the client hello, including the real SNI, using a public key you publish in DNS, HTTPS VCB record. Middle boxes only see an outer SNI, a public name, while the inner SNI, the real host, is hidden, Where is ECH today? Major browsers have support rolling out behind flags and gradual experiments. Big CDNs are adding ECH so you don't have to build crypto yourself, but many networks and clients don't use it yet, so you must keep the old path working. So here's the practical plan you can ship this week. Assume SNI is observable. Don't put sensitive meaning in host names you wouldn't want public. Enforce host SNI. Reject mismatches with 421.400 and log source IP, SNI, host, and ALPN, H2H3 to spot scanners or misconfigured clients. Harden the default vhost, one certificate that doesn't list private names, minimal response, no redirects, low rate limits. Treat it like a sink. Keep your certificates narrow. No giant multi-SAN certs on the default vhost. If you use a CDN, turn on their default unknown host black hole behavior too. Now get EC ready without breaking routing. Choose a public name, outer SNI, often your Apex or CDN.example, that always resolves to your edge. When your provider supports it, publish HTTPS VCB DNS records with the ECH config they give you. DNSSEC is a plus, but not a blocker. Keep graceful fallback. Clients without ECH will continue with normal SNI and should land on the correct vhost. Monitor ECH acceptance. Your edge CDN will expose metrics, each attempted, accepted, and fallback rates. The common challenge, you enable strict routing and suddenly some requests fail because old clients or proxies send a weird host header. Or you rush some office firewall breaks UDP quick and users get errors. Let's work through it safely. Start by enforcing host SNI in report-only mode. Log mismatches for a week. Fix your own callers first, load balancers, health checks, cron jobs. Then turn enforcement on, but only for a canary domain. Watch 4xx rates and support tickets. If clean, roll out by namespace or business unit. For ECH, wait for your CDN to support it. Enable on 2 regions. Keep HTTP2 and normal SNI everywhere. If a client can't use ECH, it still reaches your site. Picture the key moment. A scanner hits your IP with random host headers. Instead of serving your internal admin panel, the default vhost gives a dull 421 and rate limits. Later, you enable ECH on your CDN. Real users get hostname privacy. Holdouts keep working through plain SNI. No pages on fire. Just quieter logs. Quick recap. SNI routes TLS before HTTP. It's visible today, so don't rely on secrecy there. Keep host and SNI aligned. Block mismatches. Make the default vhost a black hole. ECH hides the real hostname in the client hello. Adoption is growing. Be ready to turn it on when your provider supports it. Roll out with logs first, then enforcement. Keep graceful fallback so nothing breaks. Watch the next video on enabling ECH and DNS HTTPS records. If your CDN talks to origin over plain HTTP, you're one misclick away from a data leak. Let's lock the backhaul, not just the edge. Here's the plan. We'll set up end-to-end TLS, pick between MIL-S and signed origin pools, use private links, tighten origin allow lists, and cover keyless TLS so your private keys stay private. You'll leave with a safe blueprint and clear decision points that won't tank latency. First, the clean blueprint in one breath. CDN does TLS at the edge, then hits your origin over TLS with SNI origin.example and a client cert your gateway verifies. No plain HTTP anywhere. Why terminate at the edge in the first place? You get HTTP2 and HTTP3 speed, caching, DDoS soak, WAF rules, and fewer connections hitting your origin. Great, but only if the hop from CDN to origin is just as tight. Protect the origin with one of 2 locks. MTLS, the CDN presents a client certificate. Your origin verifies it against a trusted CA or a pinned SPKI and only then serves traffic. Pros, strong, simple, tied to the TLS connection. Cons, you must manage certs and rotation, especially with multi-CDN. Signed origin pools, the CDN adds a signed header or token your origin verifies, HMAC or public key. Always require TLS anyway. Pros, easy in many CDNs, per request control, can carry scopes. Cons, you must prevent replay and bind the signature to method, path, host, and a short TTL. How to choose quickly. Pick MTLS if your gateway supports client cert auth and you want hard, tamper-resistant identity with minimal app changes. Pick signed pools if you can't do MTLS, need per request auth, or you're on a platform where headers are the only knob. Make the token short-lived, 60s, include a nonce, and bind it to host, path, and method. Now make the wire private. Private links. Prefer AWS Private Link, GCP Private Service Connect, or Azure Private Link from CDN to your VPC. If that's not possible, allow list only the CDN's egress IP ranges and block the world at your firewall. Lock DNS. Origin.example should resolve privately. Don't leak a public A record for the real origin IP. Harden routing so nothing sneaks by. Strict origin host allow lists. Only accept host origin.example and SNI to origin.example. Anything else gets a fast 421.403. Default vhost is a black hole. Require TLS 1.3 with AEAD ciphers. Keep TLS 1.2 GCM Cha-Cha only if you must. Present a narrow cert just for the origin host. Keyless TLS, when you don't want the CDN to hold your private key. Pattern, the CDN handles handshakes but calls your external signer, HSM KMS behind your firewall, for the signature. Your key never leaves your network. Latency realities. Each new handshake pays an extra signer round trip. Mitigate by keeping the signer regional, enabling TLS 1.3 and session resumption, and watching handshake P95. Aim to keep added latency under 10 to 20 millisecond. Most repeat traffic will resume and pay near zero. Put it all together step by step. Step 1. Edge TLS on the CDN with your public certs and HSTS. Turn on HTTP2 and HTTP3. Step 2. Close the origin. Only private link or CDN IPs can reach it. Block direct internet. Step 3. Require TLS to origin with SNI equals origin.example. Choose MTLS or signed pulls and enforce at the gateway. Step 4. Enforce strict host and SNI allow lists. Default vhost returns a tiny 421. Step fog and alert, MTLS auth failures, signature verification failures, unexpected hosts, and any plain HTTP attempts. Step 6, if using keyless, deploy the signer close to the edge, enable resumption, and monitor handshake latency. The real-world snags you'll hit. Bypass attempts. Someone finds your origin IP and hits it directly. Your firewall and default vhost should make it useless. Legacy health checks. They don't send the right SNI host or can't present a cert. Fix or route them through the CDN on a separate lockdown path. Multi-CDN sprawl. Different certs, different IP ranges. Solve with your own small CA for MTLS or a shared JWK set for signed pulls and automate rotation. Picture the key moment. An attacker points curl at your origin IP. No SNI, wrong host. The connection dies at the door. Minutes later, the CDN requests the same asset over TLS with SNI equals origin.example, presents its client cert, passes the allow list, and uses your private link. Your logs show green across the board, and nothing sensitive ever rode the open internet. Quick recap. Terminate TLS at the edge for speed and protection, but keep TLS to origin as a hard rule. Authenticate the CDN at origin with MTLS for strongest identity or signed pulls with short-lived, replay-safe tokens. Prefer private links. Otherwise, strictly allow list CDN egress IPs. Enforce host and SNI allow lists. Make the default vhost a black hole. Use keyless TLS if you can't let keys leave your network, and budget a small handshake latency hit. Watch the next video on the exact MTLS and signed pull configs to copy. One verify false in a client can undo your whole security plan. Let's fix outbound TLS once and for all. Here's the promise. I'll give you a short list of do's and don'ts, then a safe HTTP client setup you can copy for curl, Go, Python, Node, and Java. You'll learn how SNI and hostname checks really work, how to handle redirects without getting phished, and the right timeouts and retries so your app stays fast and safe. Do this every time. Always validate the cert chain and the hostname. No exceptions. Send the correct SNI server name in the TLS handshake. If you connect to an IP, you must set SNI manually. Only talk to hosts on an allow list. Block everything else by default. Follow redirects only to HTTPS and only to hosts on your allow list. Set strict timeouts and limited retries with exponential backoff plus jitter. Never do this. Don't set verify false or reject unauthorized false. Don't dial raw IPs for HTTPS unless you also set host and SNI for the real domain. Don't allow open redirects across the internet. Don't retry non-idempotent writes, like post to charge a card, unless the endpoint is designed for it. Safe defaults in plain English. TLS, prefer TLS 1.3, with ESGCM SHA 20 only. SNI and host must match the URL's host name. Redirects, max 5, HTTPS only, same host or allow listed host set. Timeouts, connect 2s, TLS handshake 2s, read per request 5 to 10s, total deadline 5 15s. Retries, 2 tries on temporary network errors and 5xx for idempotent methods. Get head options. Back off with jitter, 100 milliseconds, 300 milliseconds, 900 milliseconds. Copy-paste playbook for common stacks. Curl, use the host name in the URL so SNI is correct. If you must hit a specific IP, use resolve API.example on 3.113.10 and call htapi.example.com. Add protoation max redars 5, max redars retry 2, retry all errors, connect timeout, max time 15, fail. Never use -k. Go, net HTTP, set a client with timeout equal 50 nets. Transport with TLS client config TLS 1.2. If dialing an IP, set TLS client config.server name equals api.example.com. Implement check redirect to allow HTTPS and hosts in your allow list. Retry idempotent methods with jitter. Python requests, keep verify true default. Always pass timeout at 210. Don't blindly allow redirects. Set allow redirects false. Check the location and only reissue if scheme S and host in allow list. Never use requests packages.urllib3.disable warnings. Node, Axios, hps.agent, server name, api.example.com, min version, TLS v1.2, reject unauthorized true. Set timeout, set max redirect 0, manually follow only to HTTPS and allowed hosts. Use Axios retry with 2 retries and exponential backoff for idempotent methods. Java, HTTP client KT, use host names, not IPs. For IP dials, set SSL parameters with SNI hostname api.example.com. Set connect timeout 2s, read timeout 10s. Follow redirects never, and manually allow only HTTPS allow list. Retry only safe methods with bounded backoff. Pinned host allow lists that actually work. App level, define a set like api.example.com, auth.example.com. Resolve host names at runtime and reject anything else. Network level, egress firewall or service mesh policies that only allow those FQDNs or egress gateways. Block raw.0. Redirect rules that stop surprises. Only follow from HTTPS. Only follow to hosts you trust. Same host by default. A short allow list for known cross-domain hops. Cap at 5 hops. Carry over headers carefully. Never forward auth tokens to a new host unless it's on the allow list. The real-world problem. A legacy service dials 123.4 with verify equals false. It follows a 302 to evil.tld and posts tokens there. No alarms, just sadness. Let's fix it step by step. Always dial by hostname. If you must use a fixed IP, keep the URL as htapi.example.com and use DNS pinning, curl, resolve, go dialer, so SNI and hosts stay correct. Turn on hostname validation. That's the default. Leave it on. Add your private CA if needed, but don't trust all. Implement an allow list. Block any outbound hostname not on the list. Fail fast and log the attempt. Handle redirects yourself. Read the location, parse the URL, allow only HTTPS, and allow listed hosts. Then follow. Tune timeouts and retries. Short connect, firm total deadline, 2 retries max, exponential backoff with jitter, no retries for non-idempotent writes. Picture the key moment. A bad redirect tries to send your post to a random host. Your client checks the allow list, says nope, and stops. The same code retries a flaky get twice with jitter, then succeeds. Latency stays low, secrets stay secret. Quick recap. Validate cert chains and host names. Always set the right SNI. Only call allow listed hosts. Never verify it's false. Follow redirects only to HTTPS and trusted hosts. Use tight timeouts and small jittered retries for idempotent calls. Minimal changes. Hostname URLs, SNI set when using IPs, allow list check on every redirect and request. Watch the next video on egress policies you can copy today. A forged webhook can drain real money. Let's make your endpoints cheat-proof in minutes. Here's the deal. I'll give you a copy-paste receipt flow that stops fakes and replays, plus when to add MTLS and IP allow lists for extra armor. We'll cover signature checks for Stripe, GitHub, and Slack, timestamp windows, idempotent handlers, and safe outbound calls with idempotency key. Start with the golden receipt flow. Verify signature on the raw body with your secret. Check the provider's timestamp is fresh, 5 minutes. Dedupe by event ID. Enqueue work to a background job. Return 200-202 fast. Example, verify HMAC on raw body, reject if older than 5 minutes, and treat duplicates as no ops. IP allow lists are the fence, signatures are the lock. Why raw body? Parsers change whitespace in order. Signatures are over the exact byte sent. Grab the raw payload before JSON parsing. Provider playbook you can copy. Stripe, header Stripe signature contains T equals timestamp and V1 to HMatch at 256. Compute HMAC over T plus raw body using your endpoint secret. Accept only if SIG matches, and now minus T300s. Dedupe using event.id. GitHub, header xhub signature 256 is hmat 256 over raw body with your webhook secret. Compare in constant time. Dedupe via xGitHub delivery, UUID. No official timestamp. Treat old deliveries the same but rely on dedupe. Slack, headers xslack request timestamp and xslack signature. Build base string, v0 plus timestamp plus raw body. hmac shack 256 with your signing secret. Compare to header. Require noun as TS300s. Dedupe by event ID if present. Idempotent handler pattern. Store each event ID with a unique index and a status. Received, processing, done. If you see it again, return 200 and do nothing. Don't do heavy work in the webhook. Push a job and act. Most providers retry on slow failed responses. Keep your handler under a couple seconds. Keep dedupe records at least 24-72 hours. Stripe retries for days on errors. GitHub lets users redeliver. Slack retries on failure. Minimal setup per stack. Node, Express. Use body parser raw for the webhook route. Type application JSON. Compute HMAC on ric.body buffer. After verify, JSON parse, write to queue, resend status 200. Python Flask Django. Read request.get data is true, as text to false for raw bytes, verify HMAC, then parse. Set a 2s read timeout on your edge. Go, net HTTP, read and buffer R body bytes, verify, then JSON unmarshal. Respond 200-212 quickly. Rails, use request.raw post for signature check before params parsing. Replay windows and clocks, enforce a 5-minute window for providers with timestamps. Use a monotonic clock and keep NTP in sync. Even if the signature is valid and fresh, block duplicates by event ID. That's your safety net. Adding transport armor, optional but smart. IP allow lists. Allow only published ranges from the provider to reach your webhook. Expect ranges to change. Automate updates. MTLS, if a partner or enterprise gateway supports it, require a client cert on your ingress in addition to signatures. For public SaaS like Stripe, GitHub, Slack, MTLS usually isn't available. Treat it as additive where possible, never a replacement for signatures. Rate limits. Add gentle per IP and per path limits to cut noise without dropping real bursts. Outbound calls after you process the event. Use idempotency key on write APIs, e.g. Stripe idempotency key header. Generate a stable key per logical action, order 2034 charge 1, store the request hash, and treat mismatched replays as errors. Retries. Only retry idempotent writes with exponential backoff plus jitter. No double charges. Common failure that bites teams. The app verifies JSON, not raw bytes. A replay passes. A retry triggers the same charge twice. Let's fix it step by step. Verify signature on raw body. Check timestamp 5 minutes. Drop anything older. Dedupe by event ID with a unique index. Enqueue the job. Return 200-212. Add IP allow lists and, where supported, MTLS for extra assurance. For any outbound write caused by this event, send idempotency key and use safe retries. Picture the key moment. An attacker replays yesterday's payload. Your timestamp gate slams shut. Another duplicate with a fresh timestamp sneaks in, but the event ID already exists, so your handler smiles, returns 200, and does nothing. Later, your service creates a charge with idempotency key. A network blip causes a retry, and the gateway returns the same result instead of double billing. Quick recap. Verify HMAC on the raw body, then check timestamp 5 minutes. Dedupe by event D, enqueue, and act fast with 200-212. Add IP allow lists and MTLS where available. Signatures remain the source of truth. For outbound writes, use idempotency key and safe retries. Follow Stripe, GitHub, and Slack docs. Use RFC 7231 idempotency patterns. Watch the next video on hardened ingress configs you can copy. Deleting the old JWT key first is how you trigger a 401 storm. Here's how to rotate keys with zero drama. Today we'll keep logins smooth while we fix the messy parts of OAuth OIDC. Access versus refresh tokens, how a JWT is built, audience and scopes, KID-based key rotation, JWKS caching, introspection fallback, and how to handle clock skew so nothing flakes out. You'll leave with exact rollover steps you can paste into your runbook. References: RFC 7519, JWU, and RFC 757, JWK. First, the pieces in plain English. Access versus refresh. Access tokens are short-lived, 5-15 minutes, and hit your APIs. Refresh tokens live longer, days, and only talk to the auth server to mint new access tokens. Rotate refresh tokens on every use and revoke the old one. JB structure, 3 parts. Header.payload signature, base4 URL. Header, alg, rs25626, kid, WT. Payload is issuer, sub, user subject, odd, your API, XP, NBF, IAT, and scopes permissions. Signature, created with the private key. Your APIs verify with the public key from JWKS. Audience and scopes. Your API must check odd includes your API identifier and that the token has the right scopes permissions for the action. Validation checklist for every API call. Verify signature using the KID from the JWT header looked up in your JKS. Allow only expected algs. Never accept algs none or HS256 if you expect RSA EC. Validate is odd and the token isn't expired, XP, not before time, NBF, and issued recently, IAT. Allow small clock skew of 5 minutes to avoid false 401s. Enforce scopes permissions per endpoint. No scope, no action. JKS caching. Cache the JKS using cache control max age and ETAG. Normal max age 5-15 minutes. During rotation, drop to 60 seconds. On unknown KID, refresh JWKS immediately once before rejecting. If still unknown, use introspection fallback or fail closed. Safe KID-based key rotation you can copy. Step 0. Prep metrics and alerts for unknown KID, signature failures, and 401 rate. Step 1. Publish the new public key in JS with a new KID. Keep the old key in JWKS. Step 2. Shorten TTL. Set cache control, max age is 60, add ETAG, and serve 304s. Step 3. Wait 2 ETL about 2 minutes so caches pick up both keys. Step 4. Start signing new tokens with KID equals new. Old tokens, keep validating via the old key still in JKS. Step 5. Watch metrics. Any unknown KID spikes mean a cache isn't respecting TTL. Fix or force refresh. Step 6. After max access token lifetime, 2 TTL plus clock skew buffer, e.g. 5 was 2, 5 made to 22 meta, remove the old key for S. Example, add a new key to JWKS, start minting with KID new. Set JWKS cache control to 60s. After an hour of clean metrics, remove the old key. What if a client misses the update? Introspection fallback. If a token fails because the KID is unknown or you need immediate revocation, call the OAuth2 introspection endpoint. Cache positive responses briefly, 60s. Use a circuit breaker so you don't overload the auth server. Prefer JWT local validation for speed. Use introspection only when you must. Clock skew and cache timelines without math headaches. Allow 5 minutes when checking XP NBF. Users move between devices, clocks drift. During rollover, keep the old key long enough for the longest access token lifetime plus 2 times the JWKS TTL plus your skew buffer. Keep refresh tokens independent. They don't carry the signing key, but new access tokens minted after rollover will use the new KID. Redirects and audiences with OIDC flows in mind. Authorization server issues tokens with odd set to your API or resource indicator. If odd doesn't match, reject. For multiple APIs, use separate audiences or a resource parameter so tokens aren't overprivileged. Operational tips that prevent outages. Preload JWKS at gateways on startup and refresh in the background before expiry. Keep at least 2 active keys in JWKS at all times, current plus previous. Never rotate by replacing. Always add then switch then remove. Log KID, IS, odd, and failure reasons. Build a dashboard for unknown KID, TTL age, and 401 rate. For mobile native clients, prefer PKCE and short access tokens. Let the backend exchange refresh tokens. Don't spray refresh tokens to every microservice. The common failure. Someone deletes the old key right after switching signers. Half your fleet still has the JWKS cached, can't validate new tokens, and your 401 spike. Here's the fix in motion. You add the new key with KID equals new to JWKS and drop the JWKS TTL to 60s. 2 minutes later, you flip the signer to KID equals new. APIs that cache JWKS refresh automatically and accept both old and new. You watch unknown KID stay near 0. After the longest access token lifetime passes, plus a few minutes, you remove the old key. No outages, no pager. Quick recap. Access tokens are short-lived. Refresh tokens mint new access tokens and rotate on use. Validate JBIDs, signature via JKS KID, IS odd scopes, and time claims with 5-meter skew. JWKS caching matters. Respect cache control ETAG, shorten TTL during rotation. Safe rollover, publish new key, wait 2 TTL, start signing with new KID, then remove old key after max token lifetime plus 2 TTL plus skew. Use introspection as a fallback for unknown KID or immediate revocation, not as your default path. Watch the next video on token revocation and logout best practices. Your logs might be your biggest data leak. Let's get rich observability without spilling secrets. Here's the plan. We'll set an allow list of safe fields, add trace ID and span ID to every log, redact secrets at the edge, keep PII out of spans, and use W3C trace context so logs and traces click together. We'll sample at the edges, not on payloads, only use TLS keylogs in non-prod, and set clear rotate and delete rules. You'll walk away with do-don't examples you can copy today. References: OP Top 10, Cryptographic Failures, W3C Trace Context. Start with an allow list. Decide what you will log and drop everything else by default. Always timestamp, level, service, end region, trace ID, parent span ID, route or path template, method, status, latency MS, bytes in, bytes out, retry count, error code. Sometimes client IP truncated, likes 24, user ID hash suffix, device type, TLS version, cipher. Never by default. Request response bodies, authorization cookies, set cookie, full JFDs, access tokens, refresh tokens, API keys, passwords, secrets, full email, phone. Concrete dues, mask authorization and cookies, store only token hash suffix like SHA-256 token, last 6 chars. Log path template instead of raw path. Example /v1 orders /id, not v1 orders 13. Record query keys only, not values. Example keys equal q page, no full, q equal Alice in page 2. Put trace ID and span ID on every line so you can pivot logs, traces without dumping bodies. In spans, capture counts and sizes. Items 2023 body bytes, not sensitive content. Concrete don'ts. Don't log full URLs with secrets. No http://example.com token ABCD. Don't store JWTs or API keys. If you must reference one, store a salted hash only. Don't shove PII into span attributes, baggage, or log messages. Don't enable TLS keylogging in prod, non-prod only, and delete after use. Redaction that actually works. Do it before storage, as close to the edge as possible, ingress gateway or log agent. Treat it like a firewall for logs. Structured logs only, JSON. Easier to scrub and search than free text. Header allow list. Keep host, user agent, content type. Drop or mask everything else by rule. Authorization, cookie, set cookie, XAPI key, XAMs and trace ID, etc. Query allow list. Keep only non-sensitive keys. Auto-drop keys named token, code, password, secret, key, email, phone. Body policy. Default to body bytes only. For rare debugging, enable a short-lived targeted allow list on non-prod. PII hygiene in traces. Use W3C trace context, propagate trace parent and trace estate. Add trace ID, span ID to every log event. Don't put PII into baggage. Baggage is for low cardinality routing hints, not user emails. If you need user context, store a stable internal user ID and log user hash suffix, never full names or emails. Sampling that helps, not hurts. Head sample at the edge by route and outcome. Always keep errors and rare routes. Downsample healthy, high-volume paths. Never sample based on payload content. That's how secrets slip in. Share sampling decisions via trace state so downstream services follow the same choice. TLS keylogs for debugging, only in non-prod. Set a short TTL, encrypt at rest, and nuke after the incident. Never collect in prod. They let anyone decrypt traffic captures. Rotate and delete like you mean it. Retention, 7 to 14 days for app logs, 24 to 72 hours for high-volume access logs, shorter for anything with risk. Rotation, size or time-based with index lifecycle policies. Deletion, hard delete after retention. Verify with audits. Limit who can export logs. Problem you'll hit, but we need bodies to debug. Do you, though? Most bugs show up in metadata. For the rare body you truly need, grab it in non-prod or use a 1-hour debug flag that routes a single user to a safe sandbox with masked bodies. Log a trace ID you can share with support instead of pasting payloads into tickets. Let's develop the blueprint step by step. Define your allow list and ship it to every service. Default deny everything else. Add trace ID and span ID to every log line. If no incoming trace, start one at the edge. Build a redaction pipeline at ingress and in your log agent. Test with unit cases like a JBT and a query string. Switch to path template logging and query keys only, no full URLs. Tighten spans, low cardinality, no PII, only sizes, counts, enums, error codes. Set sampling, 100% for 5 secs, 10 to 20% for hot paths, 100% for new launches. Lock TLS key logging to non-prod and auto-delete. Add lifecycle policies. Rotate, archive if needed, then delete on time. Picture the key moment. A user pastes an access token into a URL. It happens. Your gateway strips the value, stores only token hash suffix, and logs the path template with a fresh trace ID. You open the trace, see the failing span, the exact error code, the latency spikes, and the upstream timeout without a single secret on disk. Quick recap. Define allow listed fields. Drop the rest. No bodies by default. Mask authorization and cookies. Log token hash suffixes, not tokens. Add trace ID span ID to every log. Use W3C trace context to link services. Sample at edges by route and errors, never by payload. Keep TLS keylogs out of prod. Rotate and delete on schedule. Rich signals, zero leaks, that's the goal. Watch the next video on building alert rules from these logs and traces. Pinning the wrong key can brick every app you've shipped in one release. Let's do certificate transparency and pinning the sane way. Here's the promise. You'll know when to pin and when not to, how to set up CT monitoring and alerts, and the exact steps for safe SPKI pinning in closed systems with backup pins and a remote kill switch. Clear rules, copy-paste steps, zero drama. Start with the North Star. Prefer CT for public apps. Pin only with backups and controlled clients. Always keep CT alerts. Example, for your consumer app, skip pinning and set CT alerts. For your managed kiosk device, pin 2-3 SPKIs and keep a remote kill switch. What CT actually gives you. Certificate transparency is a set of public, append-only logs where all publicly trusted certs must appear. That means you can see every cert issued for your domains, including mistakes or abuse. You subscribe to alerts, and when someone issues a cert for .example.com, you get a ping in minutes. Set up CT monitoring feeds and alerts in 10 minutes. Pick a monitor, CRT-Search and RSS, SSLmate Cert Spotter, Cloudflare CT Monitor, or your CA's alerts. Use more than one for redundancy. Watch base domains and wildcards, example.com, and sensitive subdomains like login.example.com. Send alerts to Slack, email, pager. Tag on call. Create rules. Unexpected issuer and new subdomain are high severity. Test it. Issue a staging cert for a staging subdomain and make sure alerts fire. Keep alerts forever, even if you pin. CT is your radar. Why HPKP died and why you shouldn't resurrect it. HPKP lets sites push pins via an HTTP header. Sounds cool until someone deploys the wrong pins or loses the private key. Result, users are locked out for weeks. Attackers could set hostile pins if they got one valid cert, trapping traffic. Browsers removed HPKP because the blast radius was huge. Instead, use CT monitoring plus HSTS and good CA hygiene. Pin only inside clients you control. Pinning, but only where it's safe. Use SPKI pinning, hash of the subject public key info, not cert pinning. SPKI survives certificate renewals as long as the public key stays the same. Only pin in closed ecosystems. Managed mobile apps with remote config, kiosk POS, IoT, or enterprise apps where you control updates. Never pin in a general consumer web app. Browsers killed HPKP for a reason. Mobile strategy that won't brick you. Always ship multiple pins, at least 2 to 3 SPKIs. One for the current key, 1 or 2 backups you control but aren't in use yet, in a safe HSM or KMS. Include at least 1 pin to an intermediate backup key you can move to quickly. Avoid pinning to a single CA route you don't control. Add remote config, a server-side flag to add, remove pins, adjust thresholds, or disable pinning in emergencies. Add a kill switch. If pin checks fail for n minutes globally, the app can fall back to OS trust temporarily. Log an alert so you don't brick prod. How to generate SPKI pins. Quick recipe. Take the Leaf Certs public key. Open SSL x509 insert.pem pub key no out. OpenSSL p key pubin outform dr. OpenSSL dgst SHA-256 binary. Base 64. Do the same for your backup key. Store these base 64 hashes in your app config. Decision cheat sheet. Pin or not. Public consumer app or website, don't pin. Use CT alerts, HSTS, CAA records limiting which CAs can issue, and normal TLS best practices. Mobile app in the wild, but you don't fully control updates. Usually don't pin. If you must, use soft fail with multiple backups and a remote kill switch. Closed managed clients, kiosks, enterprise devices, IoT, pin SPKIs with 2-3 backups and remote config. Test rotation before go live. Your repeatable plan. Step 1. Turn on CT monitoring for all domains and subdomains. Route alerts to on-call. Step 2. Document your current cert chain, issuers, and planned backup keys. Step 3. If you decide to pin, embed 2-3 SPKI pins in the client, plus a remote config endpoint and kill switch. Step 4. Dry run a rotation. Deploy a cert with the backup key in staging. Verify pin accept. CT alerts should fire. Roll back safely. Step 5. Go live. Keep CT alerts running 24/7. Introduce the real problem. Your CDN changes intermediates or your CA rotates keys. If you pin to one exact key with no backup, your app refuses the legit new cert. Boom. Outage. Let's explore the fix. Prefer CT for public apps. You'll see rogue certs fast without risking bricked clients. If you must pin SPKIs, not entire certs. Ship backups and a kill switch. Keep CT alerts anyway to catch misissuance. Keep a rotation playbook. Create backup key, publish the backup's SPKI to clients, switch issuance to the backup, then remove the old key after a quiet period. Climax moment. A CT alert hits at 2:13 a.m., new cert for payments.example.com issued by an unexpected CA. Your on-call sees it in Slack, pauses issuance, and starts revocation with the CA. Customers are safe. Meanwhile, your managed kiosks keep working because they accept your current and backup SPKIs, and your remote config is ready if you need to disable pinning in a pinch. Concrete do-don't you can copy. Do. Enable CT monitoring for example.com and example.com. Route to on-call, test monthly. Do use SPKI pinning only in controlled clients, with 2-3 pins in remote config. Do. Rehearse a key rotation before prod. Time how long it takes and what breaks. Don't. Revive HPKP headers. They're dead and dangerous. Don't. Pin to a single leaf key with no backup. That's how you brick apps. Don't. Turn off CT alerts just because you pin. CT is your early warning system. Quick setup steps you can screenshot. CT. Subscribe via CRTH queries and SSL-Mate Cloudflare monitors. Alert on any new cert for your zones. Escalate on unknown issuers. Pinning, if justified. Collect SPKI hashes for current plus backup keys. Embed all in the client. Add remote kill switch. Test rotation. Ship. Always keep CT alerts on. Prefer CT for public. Pin only with backups in controlled clients. Quick recap. CT gives you visibility into every cert for your domains. Use alerts everywhere. HPKP died because outages were one typo away. Don't use it. Pin SPKIs only in closed ecosystems, always with multiple backups and a remote kill switch. For public apps, skip pinning, keep CT alerts, add HSTS and CAA. Practice rotation so you can swap keys without breaking clients. Watch the next video on building CT alerts and staging a safe key rotation. Your TLS might look fine until a scanner shows you've been speaking TLS 1.0 to half the internet. Let's lock it down and grab that A grade fast. Here's the game plan. Run scans, read the results like a human, fix the weakest links, and retest. We'll use testcell.sh for automation, SSL Labs for public edges, simple synthetic probes for OCSP stapling and SNI, and add CI gates so this never slips again. Quick wins included. Do this first. Inventory every edge. Public sites, APIs, legacy subdomains, and any VIPs behind a CDN. If it accepts HTTPS, it's in scope. Repeatable workflow you can copy. Step 1. Run testcell.sh on each hostname. It checks protocols, ciphers, curves, cert chains, stapling, ALPN, and old bugs. Step 2. For public edges, run Qualys SSL Labs. It gives you a grade plus clear reasons. Step 3. Add synthetic probes for OCSP stapling and SNI correctness using a tiny script. Step 4. Fix findings in this order. Kill weak TLS versions, drop weak ciphers, enable TLS 1.3, fix the cert chain, turn on stapling, then tune extras. Step 5. Retest. Rinse and repeat until green. Concrete commands without the fluff. Testcell.sh quick scan. Docker run. rmghcr.out darwetter testcell/testcell.sh. Fastexample.com 443. Testcell JSON for CI. Docker run. rmghcr-darwetter testcell/testssl. Fast JSON file out JSON at apmap.com 443. SL Labs web. Run a scan at sslabs.com/sltest and save the report. For automation, use their API to poll until ready. SNI plus stapling probe. Open SSL S client. Server name api.example.com. Can api.example.com 443. Status dev null grep e. OCSP response status next update verify return code. You want an OCSP response status, successful, a future next update, and verify return code 0. OK. If you share an IP across many hosts, repeat with that a server name for each. How to read the results and fix fast. Protocols. If TLS 1.1 show up, disable them. Minimum is TLS 1.2. Prefer TLS 1.3 enabled. This alone jumps many sites from B to A. Ciphers allow only A at GCM or CHA20. Require ECDHE for forward secrecy. Drop CBC 3S RC4. Prefer server cipher order. Certificate. Chain must be complete and in the right order. Use RSA 2048 Plus or ECDSA P256 Plus keys. No SHA-1. Check name sans match. OCSP stapling. Enable it on your server or CDN. Make sure the staple is fresh. Monitors catch expiries. PN HTTP2. Enable ALPN so clients can pick HTTP2 or HTTP3. It won't change your letter grade but helps performance. Extras for A+. Set HSTS with a long max age, QUIF 150 to 500. Include subdomains only if ready, and consider preload once you're confident. Quick wins to reach an A grade. Flip on TLS 1.3 and disable TLS 111 everywhere. Keep only TLS 1.2 1.3 suites with ECDHE's AES GCM Chacha 20. Fix the cert chain order in intermediate CA. Turn on OCSP stapling and verify the staple is present and current. Add HSTS on the main domain once you're sure every subdomain supports HTTPS. CI gates so this never regresses. Add a job that runs testssl.sh on your host list nightly and on every infra change. Parse the JSON. Fail the build if TLS 1.2 is enabled, TLS 1.3 is off on public edges, CBC33 RC4 appear, no forward secrecy, expired mismatched cert, or stapling missing on public sites. Store baseline scores in diff. Post a short summary to chat, grade, protocols, worst cipher, stapling status, HSTS present. The problem you'll hit, one old listener behind a load balancer still allows TLS 1.0 for that one legacy client. That single port tanks your SSL Labs grade to B and weakens your whole posture. Let's dig and fix it. Run scans, you spot TBC ciphers on 443. Prioritize. Disable 1 to 1.1, keep 1.28 suites in 4CDHE. Enable TLS 1.3 and OCSP stapling. Verify with OpenSSL status that the staple is fresh. Retest. Test SSH is clean. SSL Labs bumps you to A. Add HSTS when ready for A+. Example, testssl.sh and CI caught TLS 1.0 on an old listener. One flag flip later, SSL Labs went from B to A. Climax moment. You hit retest, watch the SSL Labs bar climb, and the red warnings vanish. Your dashboard shows TLS 1.3, forward secrecy, stapling. Yes, HSTS on. That's your green light. Quick recap you can screenshot. Run testcell.sh and SSL Labs. Add scripted SNI stapling checks. Fix order. Protocols, ciphers, chain, stapling, HSTS. Add CI gates on JSON output so weak versions and ciphers can't sneak back. Retest after every change until you're in QA. References, testssl.sh and Qualys SSL Labs docs. Watch the next video for copy-paste TLS configs by Nginx, Apache, and ELB. One leaked API key shouldn't ruin your night. Let's make secrets that rotate themselves and never wake you at 3 a.m. Here's the plan. You'll see where secrets live, how they change safely, and how to wire integrations that just work. We'll use real secret stores, Vault, AWS, GCP, Azure managers, dynamic credentials with leases, rotation playbooks, least privilege with audit, sidecars versus SDKs, and how to bootstrap trust without hard-coding anything. First, where secrets actually live today. Central stores, HashiCorp Vault, AWS Secrets Manager, GCP Secret Manager, Azure Key Vault. These give you versioning, access policies, audit logs, and APIs. What to avoid. env files in Git, long-lived tokens in config maps, or copying secrets into images. Those are time bombs. Dynamic secrets and leasing, the big unlock. Instead of one forever password, the store mints short-lived creds on demand. Each comes with a lease ID and TTL. Example, let Vault hand your DB password a 1-hour lease. If it leaks, it dies on its own. Flow you can copy. 1. App authenticates to the store. 2. It asks for DB Micra app. Vault creates a new DB user password with TTL equal 1H and returns lease ID. 3. App uses it. A sidecar or SDK renews the lease at 30 meters. 4. Near expiry, it fetches fresh creds, updates the pool, and the old user is revoked. No restarts. Rotation without restarts. Use file or memory hot reload. Connection pools like Hikari CP can test new creds and drain old ones. For cloud DBs, consider IAM auth tokens, AWS RDS, etc., 15-minute tokens that rotate by design. For API keys to third parties, store them centrally and reload via a watcher thread or a sidecar writing to TMPFS. Least privilege and audit that keep you safe. Give each service its own role, with read access only to the paths it needs. No wildcard read everything. Separate dev staging prod namespaces. Prod access requires stronger auth and tighter TTLs. Turn on audit logs in the secret store. Every read, write, renew, revoke is recorded with who, what, when. Alert on unusual patterns, sudden spikes in reads, many access denials, or repeated renew failures. Sidecars versus SDKs, which one to choose? Sidecar agent runs next to your app, handles auth, renewal, and writes fresh secrets to memory or a file. Pros: language agnostic, minimal app changes, automatic renewals. Cons, extra process, file exposure if you're careless. SDK, call the store directly in code. Pros, fewer moving parts, in-memory only, fine control over retries and caching. Cons, more code, each language needs its own implementation. Simple rule, start with a sidecar in Kubernetes. Use SDKs for latency-sensitive or non-K8 services. Bootstrap trust, without a hard-coded token. In AWS, app assumes an IAM role. The role gets temporary creds via the metadata service. That lets you call Secrets Manager or sign into Vault's AWS Auth. In GCP Azure, use the instance workload identity to fetch short-lived tokens for the secret store. In Kubernetes, use the service account JBT or workload identity to auth to Vault's Kubernetes method or to a cloud secrets manager. For service-to-service, Spiff Spire can issue LS identities your secret store trusts. Never bake a static root token into images. That's a skeleton key. Rotation playbooks you can paste into your runbook. Database passwords with Vault. 1. Enable the database engine and map a role to limited grants. Read-write to one schema. 2. App requests dynamic creds. TTL1H, max TTL24H. 3. Sidecar SDK renews until it can't, then fetches fresh creds. 4. Connection pool swaps creds in flight. Old user is revoked automatically. Third-party API keys, static but rotate regularly. 1. Store key as a versioned secret. 2. Create a dual key window. Add key v2. App reads current alias. 3. Update alias to key v2. Verify health. Revoke key v1. Close the window. Cloud access keys. Prefer role-based short-lived creds, STS, over long-lived keys. 2. If you must keep keys, rotate on a schedule. Create new, deploy, cut over, revoke old, confirm logs. How CI/CD fits in without leaking. At build time, never fetch prod secrets. Build artifacts are public inside the company. At deploy time, the runtime identity authenticates and pulls secrets. Add a health probe that fails if renewal is stuck or the lease is about to expire, so orchestration can restart safely before outages. Concrete do's and don'ts. Do. Use dynamic creds with leases for databases and cloud IAM. Do. Set short TTLs, minutes to hours, and let agents renew. Do. Keep secrets in memory or TMPFS, not on disk. Add file perms 600 if you must write. Do. Lock policies to exact paths. Log every access. Alert on anomalies. Don't. Commit .of files to Git. Don't copy secrets into Docker images. Don't share one secret across many services. Don't require app restarts to rotate. Build hot reload instead. The problem you probably have right now. A single DB password sits in a config map. Rotating it means a maintenance window, a rolling restart, and a hope that nobody fat fingers the value. One leak, and you're sprinting. Here's the better path, step by step. Point your app to the secret store. Use workload identity to authenticate. Switch the DB to dynamic users. TTL 1 hour, renew at 30 minutes. Add a watcher to reload creds without restarting. Drain old connections. Move API keys behind a current alias so you can flip versions in seconds. Turn on audit logs and alerts. Test a rotation and staging every month. Key moment to aim for. It's 1:59 a.m. Vault renews a lease, sees it near max TTL, and hands your app a fresh DB user. Your pool swaps creds mid-flight. The old user expires on schedule. No deploy, no restart, and your pager stays quiet. Quick recap you can screenshot. Secret stores, Vault or cloud managers hold the truth. Apps never hardcode. Dynamic creds with leases auto-rotate and auto-expire. Rotation playbooks, dual windows for static secrets, seamless swaps for DBs. Least privilege and audit, tight roles, full logs, alerts on weirdness. Sidecars versus SDKs, sidecars for easy renewals. SDKs when you need tight control. Bootstrap trust with workload identity, not static tokens. Watch the next video on zero downtime database credential rotation. TLS isn't slow, your settings are. Want P95 to drop and CPU to chill without buying shiny hardware? Here's the plan. We'll baseline P95 P99, flip on TLS 1.3 and resumption, compare CPU, and only then decide if offload is worth it. We'll place termination the right way, pick ECDSA versus RSA, make session reuse actually work, and cache OCSP responses so handshakes stay fast. By the end, you'll know how to make TLS cheap, in prod and when to buy gear versus tune software. Start by measuring, not guessing. Baseline, run a steady load test on your top 3 endpoints. Record P50, P95, P99 latency, new TLS handshake sec, connection reuse %, and CPU per layer, Edge LB app. Add counters, handshake time MS, session reuse ticket key age, OCSP stapling on-off, cert signature RSA ECDSA. Note where TLS terminates today. CDN to Edge, load balancer, or at the app. Pick the right termination spot. Public traffic, terminate at the Edge or your L7 load balancer, Nginx Envoy proxy. Re-encrypt to the app if you need MTLS inside. Don't scatter certs across every app pod unless you must. Fewer places equal simpler keys, better cache, easier OCSP stapling. If you use a cloud LB CDN, let it handle TLS at scale. Your app then sees HTTP or MTLS from the LB. ECDSF RSA in 1 minute. ECDT certs are smaller and faster to sign on servers. Great for handshake, CPU, and bandwidth. RSA 2048 is widely compatible and fast to verify on clients, but heavier for the server to sign. Best of both, serve dual certs, RSA plus E. Modern clients pick ECDSA, older ones fall back to RSA. If you must pick one, prefer ECDSA P256 for public sites with modern traffic. TLS 1.3 and resumption equals fewer round trips. Turn on TLS 1.3. Handshakes drop to 1 RTT, and the cipher list is modern by default. Enable resumption. In 1.3, that's PSK via tickets. In 1.2, use session tickets IDs. Aim for 80% session reuse on hot paths. 0 RTT is optional. Allow it only for idempotent gets, and disable for writes to avoid replay. Pair with HTTP2 or HTTP3 so multiple requests share one connection, fewer handshakes, lower P95. Session reuse that actually sticks. Keep alive. Set generous idle timeouts, 60 to 120s, on LB and app so connections stay warm. Session tickets. Enable and rotate ticket keys every few hours across all LB instances so reuse works after a restart deploy. Watch out for sticky routing. If your LB sends a resumed client to a node without the ticket key, reuse fails. Cache OCSP responses so clients don't stall. Enable OCSP stapling on the terminator, Edge LB. Fetch staples early, cache them, and refresh at 50% of their TTL. Check with OpenSSL S client server name your.host -connect your.host 443 status grep OCSP response status. A warm, valid staple cuts a network hop from the client and avoids random long tails. Now the repeatable workflow. Step 1. Baseline, P-line, P95, P99 in CPU with current TLS. Note handshake rate, reuse %, and stapling status. Step 2. Enable TLS 1.3 and HTTP2. Serve an ECDSA cert, plus RSA for fallback if needed. Step 3. Turn on session resumption and share ticket keys across the fleet. Raise keep alive timeouts. Step 4. Enable and cache OCSP stapling at the terminator. Step 5. Retest under the same load. Compare CPU per request and latency percentiles. Step 6. Only if CPU is still tight and handshakes dominate, consider hardware offload or a managed edge. How to read the numbers and what to fix first. If P95 drops but CPU is flat, that's good. Keep the software path. Example, we flipped to ECDSA TLS 1.3. CPU barely moved, but P95 dropped thanks to HTTP2 multiplexing. If CPU spikes from handshakes, raise reuse rates, lengthen keep alive, and make sure ticket keys are shared. Retest before spending money. If long tails remain, check for missing OCSP staples, ticket key rotations too frequent, or L7 timeouts too short. When to consider hardware offload. After tuning, you're still spending a big chunk of CPU on handshakes, say 30% on the LB, and reuse is already high, 85%. You need very high handshake rates, burst traffic, IoT, or short-lived connections that push a single LB cluster too hard. If you run your own edge, compare cost. Add general-purpose cores versus smart NICs HSMs versus a managed CDN LB. Most teams find modern CPUs with AES-NI and good configs are enough. Capacity planning without the guesswork. Track, connections sec, handshakes sec, session reuse rate, tickets per min, OCSP staple fresh, and CPU per layer. Model peak handshakes, new con rate, 1 minus reuse rate. Size for 2 is that during promos incidents. Budget per core, how many handshakes sec and requests sec you get after TLS 1.3 plage 2 plus ECDSA. Add 30% headroom. Concrete tuning tips you can copy. Curves, X25519, P256. Ciphers, TLS 1.3 defaults, and for 1.2 use ECDA ES-GCM CHA-20 only. Dual certs, offer ECDSA and RS, prefer ECDSA. Keep alive 60/20s, H2 on, H3 if your edge supports it. Session tickets on, rotate keys fleet-wide every 6, share via config store. OCSP stapling, on, cache and refresh proactively, alert if staple is missing. TLS at the LB, not every app pod, unless you need end-to-end MTLS, then re-encrypt downstream. The gotcha you'll hit. You deploy new LBs and forget to sync session ticket keys. Reuse tanks, handshakes explode, P95 climbs, and you blame TLS. It's not TLS, it's your reuse. Let's fix it live. Baseline P95, P99 and CPU reuse is 40%. Handshakes are high. Enable TLS 1.3, ECTP2, P95 improves, CPU steady. Share ticket keys and raise keep alive. Reuse jumps to 85%. Handshakes drop by half. Turn on stapling with caching. Long tail spikes vanish. Decision, offload deferred. Soft winning did the job. Climax moment, you hit retest, watch P95 fall, and your CPU graph barely budges. The ticket reuse line shoots up and the OCSP alarm stays green. You just made TLS cheap. Quick recap, baseline first, P95, P99, CPU handshakes, reuse, stapling. Enable TLS 1.3 plus HTTP2 and serve ECDSA plus RSA fallback. Drive session reuse, 80% with keep alive and shared ticket keys. Cache OCSP responses at the terminator to kill long tails. Only buy hardware if, after tuning, handshakes still eat your CPU. Watch the next video for copy-paste TLS configs for Nginx, Envoy, and HapProxy. Auditors don't care about vibes, they care about citations. Let's turn ASVS and NIST into configs and CI checks you can ship. Here's the promise. You'll get a baseline that wins design reviews, maps every control to a concrete setting, and a policy snippet you can drop into CI. We'll cover OWASP ASVS 4.0, NIST SP 852R3, and PCI DSS TLS rules where they apply. First, the cheat sheet you can say out loud in the meeting. ASVS 4.0 v9 communication, enforce TLS 1.2 or newer, strong ciphers, HSTS secure cookies, cert validation, and no weak protocols. NIST SP 852R3 allow only TLS 1.2 and 1.3, A8 ciphers, ECDHE key exchange, curves X25519 or P256, RSA 248 plus or ECP256, SHA-256 plus, no TLS 1.0 1.1, no RC4 3D CBC. PCI DSS, if you touch card data or admin into the CDE, use strong cryptography, which means TLS 1.2 plus everywhere, and kill weak suites. Map each control to a concrete check or setting. ASVS v9 TLS 1.2 plus, Terraform, AWS LB listener.ssl policy must 1.2 1.3 policy, Nginx SSL protocols TLS v1.2 TLS v1.3, CI check, fail if any listener allows TLS 1.1.1. ASVS v9 strong ciphers and forward secrecy. SSL ciphers, ECDHE ECDSA8, AES 12856, ECDHE RSN28 G2v6, TLS KChacha 20 Poly 13 OFA SHA-256. SSL prefer server ciphers Verzon, Envoy, TLS params with cipher suites for AE only, and curves X25 and 519 P256. CI check, block CBC, R3DS, static RSA key exchange, NIST 852R3, approved suites and curves. TLS 1.3 allowed, TLS AES 28 GCM SHA-2v6. TLS AES 2v6 score GC SHA-384, TLS SHA-20 Poly 1305 SHA-256, TLDHE ECDSA AES 128 GCM SHA-56, ECDHE RSA AES 120 M256 and their 256 and SHA-20 variants. CI check, require ECDHE SHA-256 or better, curves X25519 or P256. NIST 852R3, server cert strength. Certs, ECDA P2v6 or RSA 2048 plus with HUF56. CI check, fail if 1 or RA 2048. PCI DSS strong crypto in scope. Gateways, admin portals, CDE APIs must disable TLS 1.0 1.1 and weak ciphers. CI check, if resource tag PCI is true, enforce stricter profile in HSTS. ASVS v9, HSTS and secure cookies. HSTS, strict transport security max age 5 and include subdomains when ready. Cookies, secure an HT only set. CI check, block deployments missing HSTS on public host names. Sample internal policy snippet you can paste into a repo, 1.0, policy version 1.0, TLS.min 1.2, TLS.enable TLS third true, TLS allowed TLS 13, 28 GCM SHA-2v6, TLS AF26 20 poly, TLS 20 poly 1304 of. TLS 12, ECDHE, ECDSA AES 128 GCM SHA-6, ECDHE RSA AES 128 GCM SHA-56, ECDHE ECDA 20 Poly 1305 256, EDHE RSA ChaCha 20 apply. TLS.forbidden ciphers, RC4, 3DES, AES 256 CBC, AES 128 CBC. TLS.curves, X255 gridline, cert.algorithms, ECDSA P256, RSA 2486. HSTS.maxed 85 tuned. PCI require HSTS. True. Checks.references. ASVS 4.0 v9. NIST B852R3. Translate standards into CI gates with policy as code. Rule: deny if ADLB listener.SSL policy not in ELB security TLSE 13-1222-106, ELB security tier 12305 with message. ASVS v9 and NIST 852R3 require TLS 1.2 plus. Kubernetes ingress admission. Rule: deny if SSL protocols include TLS v1 do1 1.1 or if annotation disables HSTS on PCI equals true namespace. Negligent or SemGrep rule: SSL protocols must equal TLS v1.2, TLS v1.3, and SL ciphers must not contain CBC, RC4, 3DES. Runtime scan in CI. Run test SLH on preview endpoints and fail if any weak protocol or cipher appears. Concrete snippets to steal. Terraform AWS ALB. Resource: AWS LB listener. HTTPS. Port equals 443. Protocol HTTPS. SSL port policy equals ELB security policy TLS 13-12-2021-06. Nginx SSL protocols TLS v1.2, TLS v1.3. SSL Thorxel ciphers ECEC AES 128G6, ECHE RSA AES 128G6, TLS Chacha Poly 1305-6. Add header, strict transport security, max age equal 552, always. Envoy. TLS minimum protocol version, TLS v1 core 2, cipher suites, TLS AES 128 GCM, TLS Chat 21 Thorto 5, ECDH curves X255519. The problem you probably live with. Standards are vague, engineers argue, and two teams ship different TLS settings. Then audit week hits, and the spreadsheet takes over your life. Here's the fix we'll build once and reuse everywhere. Put the baseline in a shared repo with the policy snippet above. Tag systems in scope PCI equals true to apply the stricter profile. Add CI checks for Terraform, Ingress, and Nginx using OPA and linters. Add a runtime scan step with testsl.sh to catch drift. Every check prints the citation, so design reviews end in minutes, not debates. Climax. In the design review, someone asks, why force TLS 1.2 plus? You point to the CI failure message that reads, blocked by ASVS 4.0 v9 and NIST SP852R3, TLS 1.0 1.1 not allowed, and the Terraform line with the approved SSL policy. Stamp approved. Quick recap. Anchor to OWASP ASVS 4.0, NIST SP852R3, and PCI DSS if you handle cards. Map each control to one config line and one CI rule. Ship a small policy file listing versions, ciphers, curves, HSTS, and cert rules. Make CI print the citation so audits are easy and consistent. Watch the next video for a ready-to-use CI policy pack you can drop into your repo. If your private key leaks at 2 a.m., you don't have hours, you have minutes. Here's the clock you can follow half asleep. Tonight's promise, a time-boxed runbook for crypto compromise with exact T+ timings. We'll cover key cert leaks, CA misissuance, and token key compromise. We'll use CT monitoring, fast revoke, rotate, OCSP CRL checks, must staple readiness, short-lived certs, and JWKS rollovers. References if someone asks why. NIST SP861 and RFC 5280. Prep so the incident is boring. Short-lived certs. Automate ACME so certs renew every 30 to 90 days, or 2472H for MTLS. Smaller blast radius. Must staple readiness. Enable OCSP stapling on the edge LB, cache staples, alert if missing. Only add the must staple extension once your stapling is rock solid. CT monitoring. Alerts for all domains and wildcards, so misissuance pings you in minutes. JWKS hygiene. Support multiple active keys. Short JWKS-TTL 5 to 10 minutes, and KID versioning. Mobile pins. Use remote config so you can change pins without an app release. Clocked runbook. Key cert compromise. T+05. Declare the incident. Freeze deploys. Rotate access to the key store. Disable suspected KMS HSM keys. Lock admin creds. Start an incident channel. T+5 to 15. Generate a new key. HSM KMS. Create CSR. Stage new cert paths on all terminators. CDN ELB app behind a feature flag. T+15 to 30. ACME reissue and deploy new certs to the edge LB. Turn on OCSP stapling for the new cert. Example, minute 25, new certs live. T+30 45, revoke the old cert at the CA. Verify OCSP shows revoked and CRL lists the old serial. Minute 45, old serial shows revoked. T45 60, probe everything. OpenSSL S client shows the new serial. OCSP status, good for new, revoked for old. CT logs show the new cert, monitors green. Example, hour 1, all services validate with the new KID. T+1 of 4H, purge CDN caches, rotate NEM's client certs the same way, clean up old private keys and restrict access, keep watch for stragglers. T+24H, confirm no traffic with the old serial, remove fallback configs. Write the timeline. What to check as you go. OCSP CRL, old certs OCSP equals revoked. CRL contains serial per RFC 5280. Must staple. Every endpoint must staple a fresh OCSP or must staple clients will fail. CT new cert appears in logs. No surprise certs for your domains. Clocked runbook. CA misissuance. You didn't leak. Someone else issued a bad cert. T+0 to 10. CT alert fires for payments to example.com from an unexpected issuer. Open incident. Identify affected host names. T10 to 20. Contact the CA's incident line. Request immediate revocation. File a report with details and serials. T+20 to 40. Add a temporary deny list for the bad serials at your edge LB WAF. If risk is high, distrust the offending intermediate inside your private trust store. T+40 to 60. Verify CA posted revocation. OCSP shows revoked. CRL updated. Announce limited impact if any. T+1 to 4H. For mobile with SPKI pins via remote config, update pins if you pin to an issuer that just rotated. Push config. Verify connectivity. T to 24H. Confirm no client accepts the bad cert. Close out with the CA's incident report link in your notes. Clocked runbook. Token signing key compromised. OIDC. T+to 10. Stop issuing with the old kid. Generate a new key pair. Publish the new JK to well-known JSON alongside the old, both present. T+10 to 20. Lower J2KS cache TTL to 5 minutes on verifiers. Push config reloads. T2040. Start signing new tokens with the new kid. Keep validating the old kid so existing sessions don't die. T+12H. Verify all services except the new kid. Track the percentage of traffic with new versus old tokens. T+4. Complete JBKS rollover. Disable issuance with old key. Remove old set after caches age out. Revoke high-risk sessions if needed. T24. Rotate refresh tokens or session secrets if the blast radius includes them. Restore normal JBUKS TTL. Probes you can run fast. TLS cert check. OpenSSL S client, server name 8example.com, -connect 8example.com 43. Status, grep, NICE serial, OCSP response status. CT check, CRT/QITS@example.com in your CT monitor feed. Confirm new cert appears. JWKS check, curl the JKS URL. Ensure both old and new kids present during the rollover, then only new after T+4H. Common gotchas and how to dodge them. Must staple without stapling. Clients will hard fail. Build stapling readiness and alerting before you add the flag. Long caches. CDNs and verifiers may cache forever. Set shorter max age on OCSP staples and JWKS and purge on incident. Single key everywhere. Always keep a backup key staged, cert or JWK, so you can go dual live during the swap. Why this works? It follows NIST SP861's Contain, Eradicate, Recover flow and uses RFC 5280 revocation signals, OCS CRL, that clients already understand. Quick recap you can screenshot. Key certs. T15 meet new key. T30 met new cert live. T45 met old revoked. T1H probes green. CA misissuance. Detect via CT. Press the CA. Deny list serials. Update trust store. Verify revocation. Tokens. Publish new JWK. Start signing with new kid. To 4H remove old after caches age out. Keep must staple ready. Certs short-lived. JWKS TTL short and pins remote configurable. Watch the next video for a ready-to-use incident worksheet you can print and keep by your desk. Edge cases break launches, not basics. Let's blitz the TLS gotchas with one-liners you can use in design review. Plain text still running in prod. Let's turn it off without outages and ship a modern encrypted mesh. Here's the promise, a sequenced blueprint you can run this quarter. Assess, pilot, expand, enforce, deprecate, plus exact flags, canaries, rollback steps, milestones, and success metrics. By the end, you'll know what to do next Monday morning. Step 1. Assess. Inventory traffic without breaking anything. Map all paths, north-south, internet edge, and east-west, service. Pull from LB logs, mesh telemetry, VPC flow logs, and a short eBPF TC dump sample during low traffic. Tag risky paths first, auth, payments, PII admin, cross-zone, partner links. Capture baselines, send encrypted, TLS versions used, handshake failures, P95, P99, error budget burn, and top plaintext ports. One-liners you can use, test l-h, API at example.com, OpenSSL S client, -connect SVC 443, server name SVC, devgrief, DICE-v1.auc, TLS v1.1, 80, access.log. Now, Step 2, pilot. MTLS in one safe corner. Edge, require TLS 1.2 plus and enable TLS 1.3. Example one-liners: Nginx, SSL protocols, TLS v1.2, TLS v1.3, HAProxy, SSL default bind options, no SSL v3, no TLS tickets, SSL default bind cipher suits, TLS AES 126, TLS Chacha 20 Porohondi, JDUSA ELB, SSL policy equals ELB security policy -121-06, MTLS pilot, service mesh like Istio linkered console, start with one namespace in permissive, fix stragglers, then set strict. Rinse and repeat per domain. Istio example: permissive, mtls.mode equals permissive, accepts TLS and plaintext. Strict, mtls.mode strict, plaintext blocked. Certificates, automate Spire or cert manager, rotate every 24 to 72 age for mesh certs. Canary, route 5% of calls through the mesh or enable strict for one service pair while others remain permissive. Rollback, flip back to permissive, route 0% through mesh, or revert LB policy to previous SSL profile. Step 3. Expand. Scale what worked, one blast radius at a time. Expand namespace by namespace or by domain boundary, payments, auth, core APIs. Fix stragglers, old clients that can't do TLS 1.2, front with a protocol downgrading edge proxy only if necessary, then schedule client upgrades. Libraries missing say ALPN, add a sidecar or upgrade runtime, e.g. JDK 11 plus, OpenSSL 1.11 plus. Mixed port use, redirect 8443 with 308 at the edge, keep 80 closed internally. Keep canaries, 5%, 25%, 100%, pausing if handshake error 0.5% or P95 worsens board 10% for 10 minutes. Repeat, assess telemetry, fix, raise traffic. Step 4. Lock in the good path. Edge enforcement, kill TLS 1.0 and 1.1 everywhere. HSTS on public host names, secure cookies. Pin cipher policy to A with ECDHE, prefer ECDSA with RSA fallback if you serve long-tail clients. Mesh enforcement, set strict MTLS for the namespace domain once error rate is stable. Require SAN SPIF ID verification between services. Block plaintext ports at network policy firewall. Observability gates in CI/CD, fail deploys that re-enable TLS 1.111 or open port 80. Step 5. Deprecate. Remove legacy protocols and keep it clean. Turn off SSL v3 TLS 1.111, FTP Telnet, unencrypted AMQP, and any start TLS that isn't pinned to TLS 1.2 plus with cert checks. Remove plaintext listeners, firewall rules, and old cert chains. Keep a small quarantine proxy only for known legacy partners with an end-of-life date. Document the new baseline and freeze it as policy. Change management that won't wake you at 2 a.m. Flags, feature flag MTLS mode, permissive strict, LB-TLS profiles, and port listeners per service. Canaries, use weighted routing or header-based splits to move 5 and 25%, 50%, 100%. Rollback triggers, handshake failure rate 1.5%, 5x 1%, or P95 up 15% for 10 minutes. Rollback steps, revert strict permissive, restore prior LB policy, shift traffic back. Freeze windows, make changes at low-risk times with on-call ready and dashboards pinned. Milestones you can copy into the plan. M1, week 1, inventory complete, baseline % encrypted, top plaintext paths listed, owners assigned. M2, week 2, Edge enforces TLS 1.2 plus 1.3 for 100% of internet traffic, no major P95 change. M3, week 3, first namespace in permissive, 50% of calls using MTLS, zero auth regressions. M4, week 4, namespace to strict, resumption 80%, handshake failure 0.3%. M5, week 5 to 6, 80% of east-west traffic on MTLS across 3 domains, all port 80 internal listeners removed. M6, week 7 to 8, 100% MTLS east-west, TLS 1.0 1.1 fully disabled, legacy proxies quarantined with end dates. Success metrics to prove it's safe. Coverage, % of requests using TLS 1.2, 1.3 Edge, and % of east-west calls using MTLS. Health, handshake failure rate, cert error rate, OCSP stapling present, resumption rate. Performance, P95, P99 versus baseline, CPU per request at Edge and sidecars, connection reuse. Security, ports 80 legacy closed, no plaintext hits in logs, cert rotation SLO met on time with 0 failures. Real-world examples you can drop into review right now. Edge first, set SSL protocols TLS v1.2, TLS v1.3, and HSTS, Canary 10%, rollback on 0.5% handshake errors. Mesh next, start with one namespace in permissive, fix stragglers, then set strict, rinse and repeat per domain. Legacy partner, Isolate behind a downgrade proxy with an EOL date, monitor separately, and keep the core strict. The sticky problem you'll hit. A critical service still talks plain text to 3 others, and nobody knows the client versions. Here's the move. Put the namespace in permissive, log Sinai Alpen, and user agents for a week. Upgrade or wrap the outliers with sidecars, then flip strict on just that service pair first. No big bang, no outage. Clutch moment. You flip strict on the pilot domain, refresh the dashboard, and nothing spikes. P95 holds, 5SX stays flat, and encrypted coverage jumps to 100%. The team quietly high-fives and moves the next namespace to permissive. Quick recap. Assess inventory, baseline, and tag risky paths. Pilot, TLS 1.2 plus 1.3 at the edge, MTLS in one namespace with permissive. Expand, fix stragglers, grow canaries, repeat by domain. Enforce, set strict, close plain text, lock policies in CI. Deprecate, remove legacy protocols and freeze the baseline. Use flags, canaries, and fast rollback tied to clear CELOs. Watch the next video for copy-paste mesh and LB configs you can use today. You can't fix what you can't see. Let's build the smallest set of TLS signals that catch real issues without waking you up for noise. Here's the plan. I'll give you 6 to 8 must-have metrics, clear alert thresholds, and the exact playbook to open when they fire. We'll cover TLS version cipher mix, OCSP stapling freshness, cert expiry, JKS fetch errors, webhook signature failures, protocol mix, H1, H2, H3, dashboards, and SLOs. Metric 1, TLS handshake success rate and why. What to measure? TLS handshake success rate, split by edge LB service and error code, expired cert, unknown CA, bad record MAC, Alpen fail. Alert, page of success 99.9% for 5 minutes or if any single error code 0.3% of handshakes. Playbook, TLS HS fail, check cert chain, ALPN policy, and recent deploys. Rollback LB mesh changes. Metric 2, TLS version and cipher mix. What to measure? Of traffic by TLS VIN 1.2, 1.3, and cipher suite family, ASGCM Chacha 20 CBC. Track weak sightings. Alert, warn if TLS 1.1.1%, or if any CBC RS4 3DS shows up. Page if TLS 1.3 share drops 20 points in 10 minutes. One-liner, alert if any weak cipher observed, or TLS 1.111.1% for 10 minutes. Playbook, TLS policy drift, compare current config versus baseline, fix SSL policy on LB ingress, rerun TSSL. Metric 3, OCSP stapling freshness. What to measure? Staple age seconds per endpoint and percent requests with a valid staple. Alert, warn if staple age 12H, page if staple missing on 1% of requests for 10 minutes. Example, alert if stapling freshness 12 hours. Playbook, OCSP stale, refresh cache at terminator, confirm CA responder up, verify must staple endpoints first. Metric 4, certificate expiry windows. What to measure? Days to expiry for all public and internal certs. Alert, warn at 30 days public and 14 days internal. Page at 14 days public and 7 days internal. Critical at 3 days anywhere. Example, alert if any public cert has 14 days to expiry. Playbook, cert rotate, Acme renew or reissue, deploy to Edge LB, verify with S client, update dashboards. Metric 5, JWKS fetch health, OID subdub key. What to measure? JW catch success rate, last success age seconds, validation errors, kid not found, bad signature, cache TTL seconds in verifiers. Alert, page if JJ fetch fest 99% for 5 minutes or last success age 10 minutes or any signature mismatch 0. Playbook, JDKS roll, republish JDKS, lower cache TTL to 5 meter, ensure new kid present, retry verifiers, then restore TTL. Metric 6, webhook signature failures. What to measure? Webhook sig fail rate by provider and endpoint. Include clock skew seconds and header presence. Alert, warn at 0.5% for 10 minutes or 3's baseline. Page if 2% or missing signature headers spike. Playbook, webhook key rotate, check shared secrets, rotate if leaked, fix clock skew, confirm body parsing is exact, raw bytes. Metric 7, protocol mix and ALPN health, H1, H2, H3. What to measure? Sent requests by protocol, Alpen negotiation fail rate, H3 retry to H2 rate, upgrade latency. Alert, warn if H2 share drops 30% or Alpen fail 0.2% for 10 minutes. Page if H3, H2 retries 5% and P95 TTFB up 20%. Playbook LPN drift, verify Alt-SVC header, cert cipher parity across H2, H3, and CDN flags. Metric 8, OCSP CRL dependency health, optional but tiny and useful. What to measure? OCSP responder latency, OCSP HTTP 5x rate, CRL fetch success. Alert, Warn if OCSP latency 95 for 10 minutes or OS4 5 secs line. Playbook, OCS upstream, fail open via stapling, increase cache, contact CA. Dashboards that answer, are we safe? In 10 seconds. Edge TLS health, handshake success, error breakdown, TLS version cipher mix, protocol mix, OCSP freshness missing rate, token and webhook integrity, JWKS fetch success and last success age, signature mismatch counts, webhook failure rate by provider. Expiry radar, list of certs with days to expiry, sorted ascending, with traffic share per cert to rank risk. Performance view, P95, P99 TTFB split by H1, H3 retry rate, staple age, latency overlay. SLOs you can copy, TLS handshake availability, 99.95% successful handshakes per region monthly. OCSP stapling presence, 99.9% of requests carry a valid staple on must staple endpoints. JWKS freshness, 99.9% of verifiers fetch JWKS within the last 10 minutes. Cert hygiene, 100% of public certs have 14 days to expiry, 100% internal have 7 days. Webhook integrity, 0.5% signature failures per provider, rolling 7 days. The real problem, too many graphs, not enough action. Teams drown in dashboards, miss the one thing that mattered, the cert that died on Sunday. The fix, make every alert print the next step and the link to the runbook. Example messages you can paste in now. Public cert api.example.com expires in 12 days. Open cert rotate. OCSP staple missing on 3.2% of requests at LAN Edge. Open OCSP stale. JWKS last success age 17 EMIT checkout. Open JWKS roll. Webhook SIG failures 2.7% for provider equals Stripe. Open webhook key rotate. Clutch moment, a warning pops up. OCSP freshness 12H on 2 edges. You hit the runbook, refresh staples, watch the missing rate drop to near 0, and no one gets paged. Quick recap. Track 6 to 8 metrics. Handshake success, TLS cipher mix, OCSP freshness, cert expiry, JWKS health, webhook SIGs, protocol mix, and, optionally, OCSP upstream. Use sane thresholds, 99.9% handshakes, TLS 1.11, 1.1%, staple age 12 oaks, public cert 14 days, JWKS last success 10 mitter, webhooks 0.5% fails, H2 drop 30%. Tie each alert to a named playbook so anyone can fix it fast. Watch the next video for copy-paste Grafana panels and alert rules. Big TLS or mesh flip at midnight? You don't need luck. You need a checklist you can run half asleep. Here's the promise. A repeatable, auditable before-after flow. Snapshot, change, verify, document with canaries, multi-region probes, and a rollback plan you can trust. By the end, you'll have a change ticket template you can paste into Jira and go. Snapshot pre-change so you know what good looks like. Public scan, run SSL labs, and save the report link and grade. Example, before flipping to TLS 1.3, run SSL labs A. Deep probe with test SL-H. Test SL A provide H JSON pre-test SL. Capture TLS S version cipherless OCSP stapling ALPN H2H3 and cert chain. Cert details and staples. Open SSL S client connect api.example.com 443 server name api.example.com status T priest client.txt. Note serial issuer OCSP response status and staple age. Traffic baselines last 124H. TLS handshake success rate P9599 TTFB. Protocol mix, H1, H2, H3, error budget. Save Grafana Datadog screenshots or export JSON. Evidence bundle. Dump everything into a dated folder. Change 2025 MMDD with links in the ticket. Change Canary deploy with safety rails. Pick a tiny blast radius first. 5% traffic on one edge pop or 1K8S namespace. Flip the flag, not the whole world. Edge TLS. Set SSL protocols TLS v1.2. TLS v1.3, or ALB SSL policy, ELB security policy TLS 13 to 1/2/2021-06. Mesh enablement, start permissive, accepts plaintext plus MTLS, then move pairs to strict later. Health guardrails, pause if handshake error 0.5% for 10 minutes, or P95 15%. Rollback is one click, revert to previous SL policy or permissive verify during Canary and after full rollout. Multi-region probes, edge to origin. Test SL-H from 3 regions or runners, US East, EU West, AP Southeast. Curl SO dev null, -WE2 variant HT version time connect times chart transit. HTTP2 p example xan.com, xanol.com, guy, go to alexaspa.com, grep, -I alt svc, open SSL, example.com, 443, server name api.example.com, status, grep e protocol, cipher, serial OCSP, what good? Looks like after the flip. SSL labs grade holds or improves, AA. TLS mix shifts toward 1.3 without new weak ciphers. Protocol mix shows H2H3 climb, H1 stable or down. OCSP staple present and fresh, 12H age on all pops. Zero spike in 5XX, handshake success 19.9%. Sample acceptance check. Minute 10, canary green. Minute 30, 25% live. Minute 45, H3 share plus 20 points, P95 unchanged. Hour 1, all regions stapling fresh. Rollback, decide fast, reverse clean, triggers, handshake success 99.5% for 5 minutes, or 5x 1%, or cart login failures. Steps, edge, revert SSL policy to previous version, clear CDN config, purge caches. Mesh, strict permissive on the namespace, drain new sidecars only. Verify return to baseline with the same probes, attach results to ticket. Post-change verification full rollout. Rerun the exact pre-change commands and compare. Tests.sl.sh, post tests ssl.json, diff vis pre, sclient staple status, and serial match the plan. Protocol mix dashboard, H2, H3 no TLS 1.0 1.1. Closeout checks. Cert expiry to 14 days public, 7 days internal. JBKS fetch success in 99% if token path was touched. Synthetic checks green in all regions for 30 to 60 minutes. One-liner example. After flip, confirm A and protocol mix shows H2, H3 climb. Document make audits painless. Capture. Links to SSL labs, pre-post test cell artifacts, dashboards, and commit shays. Write a 2-minute summary. What changed, where, outcome, lessons, and next rollout window. Change ticket template. Paste this and fill it. Title. Flip TLS 1.3 at Edge for API.example.com. Canary full. Scope. Edge LBs in US East 1 West 1. Services. API GW checkout. Reason risk. Enable TLS 1.3 for latency security. Risk equals handshake regressions on legacy clients. Pre-change snapshot. SSL labs A. Link. Test SSL. Attach pretestl.json. sclient serial 0xabc. OCSP staple good. Dashboards. Handshake in 99.95. H2 62%. H3 equals to 0%. Change steps. Set SSL protocols TLS v1 to TLS v1.3 on Canary Pop. Validate. Ramp 5 25 to 50%. For mesh flips, namespace equals payments to permissive. Fix outliers, then strict. Rollback plan. Revert SSL policy to ELB security policy 2016-08. Permissive on namespace. Purge CDN. Confirm recovery. Triggers HS 99.5 for 5N 5x 1%, P95 plus 15%. Verification. Multi-region test SL, sclient, OCSP fresh. Protocol mix shows HH3 up, no weak ciphers. Timeboxed watch, 60 minutes of green graphs. Evidence links, pre-post dashboards PRs. Approvals, security SRE service owner. Timeline, start canary full finish. Outcome, grade A, H3 18%, P95 unchanged, no incidents. Example run using snapshot, SSL labs A, H2 60%. Change, enable TLS 1.3 on one pop, ramp to all. Verify, OCSP staple fresh 6 at handshake 99.96%, H3 up to 20%. Document, attach pre-post scans, note 0 regressions, schedule next domain. The usual snag is panic clicking without proof. With snapshots first and the same probes after, you don't argue, you show. Clutch moment, you flip, run the probes, see green across 3 regions, paste the screenshots, and close the ticket with a grin. Quick recap, snapshot, change, verify, document, every time. Canary first, multi-region probes, clear rollback triggers. Save artifacts so audits take minutes, not meetings. Watch the next video for copy-paste runbook cards you can pin to your on-call channel. Your HTTPS is tight, but your gRPC, queues, and databases are whispering secrets. Let's lock those down with copy-paste flags. Here's the plan. I'll list the common stacks and give you the exact TLS and MTLS flags that don't break prod. Non-HTTP is first class today. gRPC S plus MTLS. Go client. Creds equals credentials.new tls.config server name api.example.com root case pool certificate tls.certificate client cert con equals g.dial api.example.com 443 grpiece with transport credentials creds as grp server.creds credentials new tls config client auth require and verify client cert client cs pool certificates tls.certificate server cert Java client, netty channel builder.for target example.443 to SSL context, gRPC SSL context for client, trust manager client cert key build. Node client, const creds skills.credentials.create SSL, client key, client cert, grpc.make client constructor proto api.example.com 443 Python client, creds equal g.ssl or channel credentials, root certificate CA, private key equal key, certificate chain equal cert, darf secure channel, api.example.com 443 Notes: gRPC uses HTTP2 under the hood. LPN must offer H2. Set server name SAN to match the cert. Use MTLS for service. AMQ RabbitMQ over TLS. Port 5671 AMQPS. Python Pika. CTX equal SSL.create default context. CA.pem. CTX.load cert chain. Client.key. Params application parameters. SSL options equals Pika SSL options CTX server hostname broker.example.com. AMQPF will user paths at broker.example.com. Heartbeat equals 30 with file sync APENGI. Cert fs.read file sync client.crt. Key fs.read file sync client.key. Server name broker.example.com. New connection factory. SSL's new SSL option enabled to true. Server name equal broker.example.com. Cert path client.pfx. Acceptable policy errors. SSL policy errors.none. Broker tip. RabbitMQ.conf SSL options.verify peer. SSL options fail if no peer cert. True for MTLS. Cert SAN must include broker DNS. Management TLS on Fiend 671. AMQP 1.0, e.g. Azure Service Bus. Java SSL disabled for cert auth. Proton JURL AMQPS trust store plus endpoint host must match. Use TLS 1.2 plus. MQTT over TLS port 883. Mosquito pub .h broker.example.com. DAC file ca.pem cert.key client.key. TLS-version TLS v1.2. Python client.tls set ca certs with ca.pem cert file.crt. Client.tls insecure set false. No enq.js. mq.connect mq/broker.example.com. cf.read file sync cert fs.read file sync client read file sync client.key. Server name broker.example.com. Reject unauthorized true. Cloud tip. AWS IoT requires MTLS client certs and SAN must match account policy. Device clocks need to be sane. Postgres PSQL, PGPSL mode PSL verify-full, PGSL root cert rdsca.pem-juice.com, ADB Postgres/com variety for to prod SSL mode verify root cert path rds/cpem and SSL key path app.key. ODBC, SSL mode verify full, SSL root cert path/ca.pem, SSL cert path app.crt, SSL key path app.key. Notes, verify full enforces hostname match, prefer DNS hostnames over IP. RDS Cloud SQL need the provider CA bundle. MTLS optional with SSL cert SSL key. MySQL MariaDB. CLI MySQL with con SSL mode to verify identity. SSL CA equals subpem. SSL cert at client.cr key. JDBC connector/j JDBC MySQL/dbexample.com. SSL mode to verify identity protocols B1.2 TLS v1.3. ODBC, SSL mode verify identity, SLCA equals ca.pem, SSL client.crt key client.key. Notes, verify identity turns on hostname validation. Some old connectors default to preferred, opportunistic. SAN must include DNS. SQL Server, JDBC.SQL Server example.com 133, encrypt trust server certificate false, hostname and certificate.database.windows.net. ODBC, encryptic yes, trust server certificate equal no. Hostname and certificate equals .database.windows.net. Notes, most setups don't use client certs. Do not set trust server certificate equal true. For Azure SQL, the hostname and certificate must match. Oracle, JDBC that Oracle thin at tcp.example.com 2484 for ORCL, oracle.net.ssl server dn match custom props. Systemprop.ss.ssl.truststore equals path trust jks. javac.net ssl.truststore password change it. Wallet option, configure schoolnet.aura for TCPS with auto login while DN match or server DN match equals true. MongoDB URI, MongoDB plus sarv user cluster.example.com/db. TLS equals true and TLS capitals path CA-MTLS. Add TLS certificate key files path client.pem. Node, Mongo client, URI TLSK.pem, and TLS certificate key file, client.pem. TLS allow invalid host names, false. Notes, keep TLS allow invalid certificates, host names, false. SARV records imply SNE, use DNS names, not IPs. Redis TLS, port 6380 for managed TLS. Redis CLI, dbexample.com top 6380. TLS-kcertca.pem, cert client.cr key client.key. No redis/db.example.com 6380. TLS fs.read file sync ca.pem, cert f.read file sync client.cr key fs.read file sync client. Server name db.example.com, reject unauthorized true. Notes, use redis/enable ACLs. Some clouds require SNIVIet. Client security up protocol equal SSL, SSL.truststore.location, truststore JKS, SSL.keystored.location, keystore.jks, SSL.keystore password, SSL.endpoint identification algorithm, H. Notes, the last flag enforces hostname validation. Brokers often listen on 9093 for SSL. Common pitfalls and fixes. Problem, driver encrypts if possible and skips hostname checks. Fix, set verify identity/verify full/trust server certificate false and supply the CA. Problem: IP and connection string, but cert has DNS only. Fix: use DNS host names or issue certs with IP SANs. Problem: MTLS fails on name mismatch. Fix: client cert CN SAN must match the mapping, e.g. RabbitMQ external auth. Server cert SAN must match SNI. Problem: old client stuck on TLS 1.01.1. Fix: upgrade drivers or front with a modern proxy temporarily. Set TLS v12 plus only on brokers DBs. Design review one-liners you can paste: gRPC, TLS MTLS, Trust CA, ALPN H2. RabbitMQ, MQPS 5671 Veripeer, fail if no peer search true. Client certs for MTLS. MQT 8883 KL plus cert key, TN6 secure set false. Postgres. SSL mode, verify full. Root C optional SSL certs, SSL key for MTLS. MySQL, SSL mode, verify identity, provide CA, client certs optional. SQL Server, encrypted root, trust server certificate false, hostname and certificate set. Oracle, TCP is 2484, server DM match with true, trust store or wallet. MongoDB TLS equal true, TLS CAF file, no allow invalid host names. Redis with CA, MTLS if offered, SNI host set. Kafka, SSL with endpoint identification to algorithm equals PS. The real challenge: teams nail HTTPS, then leave queues and databases on maybe TLS. That's how leaks happen. The simple move: flip drivers to strict verify, pass a real CA, and add client certs where you want identity. Do it per stack with the flags above, test in Canary, then roll. Clutch moment: you switch Postgres to verify full, Kafka to hostname validation, RabbitMQ to MTLS, rerun health checks, and latency stays flat while security jumps. Quick recap: make non-HTTP first class, gRPC with TLS MTLS, AMQP MQTT on 5671-8883, and databases with strict verify. Use exact flags, verify identity, encrypt equals true, with trust server certificate false. Provide the CA, add client certs for MTLS. Watch for caveats: SNI host names, IP SANs, cloud CA bundles, old drivers. Watch the next video for copy-paste configs you can drop into prod today. Your vendor says we can't do hostname validation and TLS 1.0 is fine. Do you bend or hold the line? Here's the copy-paste playbook. State a clean baseline, offer MTLS, set overlap windows, test endpoints, and ship runbooks so rotations don't wake you up at 2 a.m. Baseline you can paste in an email right now. We require TLS 1.2 plus, TLS 1.3 preferred, with hostname validation. We support MTLS if you offer it. All webhooks must be signed with a time-stamped HMAC HIF256. We rotate certificates every 90 days with a 7-day overlap. We do not accept IP endpoints or trust all settings. Our production host names are api.example.com and hooks.example.com. Please verify the certificate SAN matches these names. For webhooks, send a signature header, e.g. xsig, that is HMAC SAT256 over the raw body with a TS header, 5-minute tolerance. Offer MTLS, optional but first class. We can exchange client certs and enable MTLS. We'll send our client certificate and CA chain. Please send your CA or accepted client certs. We verify SAN-CN bindings. If you don't support MTLS, we keep TLS 1.2 plus with strict hostname checks and require webhook signing. Define overlap windows, so cutovers are boring. T14 days, announce change and share test endpoints. T7 days, publish new cert/keys, accept both old and new, dual trust. T2 days, run end-to-end tests against staging and low-traffic prod. T0, switch client to new cert endpoint, keep old valid for 7 days. T+7, remove old cert endpoint, confirm clean logs. Emergency rollback, revert within 30 minutes to prior cert endpoint. Old trust remains valid through T+14. Test endpoints, copy-paste checks for partners. TLS check with curl /pi.example.com, resolve api.example.com, your IP, -cert partner CADEMS. Expect TLS v1.2 or TLS v1.3, hostname verified, H2, H3 optional. Check with curl v https://example.com, health cert nat key client.key, hey cert partner ca.pem, resolve part.example.com 43 IP. Webhook signature test. We send a signed post to your staging URL with headers. xsig alg hmac shat256, xsig t equals Unix, xsig equal hex. You respond 2xx and verify TS within 300s and body MAC matches. Exact flags partners keep asking for. Java, https.protocols, TLS v1.2, TLS3, DDTA.TLS client protocols equal TLS v1.3, and TLS v1 and DPS. Node code, AX.request, server name, api.example.com, reject unauthorized true, CA, ffxca.pem, cert, key. Net, hClientHandler.server certificate custom validation callback equals null. Sockets HTTP handler.ssl options target host equals api.example.com. SL protocols TLS Swella 13 CURL Tina TLS v1.2 ksert ca.cert client.crt key client.key runbook inbound cert rotation they call you prep upload new edge cert enable dual chain if needed keep old active notify send T4 T7 T2 emails with dates fingerprints and test endpoint accept both trust old new at edge for 7 days flip at T0 partners switch you monitor handshake success to 99.9%. Retire, T+7 remove old, attach SSL labs and logs to the ticket. Rollback, re-enable old cert within 30 minutes, extend overlap to T+14. Runbook, outbound cert rotation, you call them. Prep trust, add partner's new CA cert to trust store, keep old. Canary, one region or 5% traffic to new trust, monitor 5xx handshake errors. Flip, ramp to 100%, keep dual trust for 7 days. Retire, remove old trust after T+7, confirm 0 errors in last 24 hours. Runbook webhook secret rotation, T create new secret, K2, keep old K1 valid, publish K2 at T0, start signing with both K1 play 2, partners verify either one. T7, stop K1 signing, keep verifying K1 for 7 more days. T+14, drop K1 entirely, audit logs governance template you can mail to vendors today. Baseline, TLS 1.2 plus, TL1.3 preferred, strict hostname validation, no IP endpoints, modern ciphers, AES GCM CHA20, OCSP stapling preferred. MTLS, supported on request, we verify client sans CN, rotation every 90 days with 7-day overlap. Webhooks, HMAT56 with timestamp, 5-minute replay window, secret rotation every 180 days with 7-day overlap. Change windows, 2-14 to 18 UTC, rollback within 30 minutes. Contacts, security at, on-call at, staging endpoints in stg.8example.hooks.example.com. What to do when a partner pushes back? If they ask to disable hostname validation, we cannot accept trust server certificate equals true. Use DNS names that match the cert SAN or we can issue a name you control. If they can't do MTLS, okay to proceed without MTLS if TLS 1.2 plus with hostname validation and signed webhooks are in place. If they want long-lived certs, we rotate every 90 days with 7-day overlap. If needed, we can extend to 180 days for the first cycle, then move to 90. If they only have IP endpoints, we require DNS hostnames with valid certificates. IP only is not supported. Email-ready timeline example. Plan, publish new cert on 2025-0501, dual certs until 2025-508. Switch at 25-03-16 UTC. Rollback window to 2025-0515. Success criteria. 99.9% TLS handshakes, 0 hostname mismatches, webhook verification 99.9%. Change ticket skeleton for B2B flips. Title, Partner X, TLS, MTLS, and webhook signing setup. Scope, prod plus staging. Endpoints list, IP allow lists. Baseline, TLS 1.2.3, hostname validation, webhook signing. MTLS optional. Plan T14 announce T7 dual trust, T2 tests, T0 switch, T+7 retire. Monitoring, handshake success, 5xx, webhook signature failure rate, rollback, restore prior cert trust within 30 minutes, extend overlap to T+14. Evidence SSL Labs links, test logs, headers captured. The sticky problem you'll hit, we can only set trust server certificate equals true. Here's the calm answer. Require a DNS name and valid CA, offer to issue a DNS name they control, or keep MTLS with strict SAN checks and short overlap. No host match, no go. Clutch moment. You send the baseline and overlap plan. They run the test curl. Everything is green. You cut over at T0, and your dashboards don't even blink. Quick recap. State your baseline. TLS 1.2 plus 1.3. Hostname validation. Signed webhooks. MTLS supported. Define overlap windows and a rollback window. Always test on staging first. Ship runbooks for inbound, outbound certs and webhook secrets with clear success criteria. Watch the next video for copy-paste partner runbook cards you can drop into your ticketing system. Think your VPC is private so you can skip TLS? Let's bust the biggest myths in under 2 minutes. Here's the deal. I'll read the myth, give the one-line rebuttal, and name the spec you can drop in an email or design doc. Myth. Private networks don't need encryption. No. Assume compromise. Encrypt east-west and use MTLS with auto-rotation. OWASP ASV9, NIST2, NIST SP 800-2070 trust. Myth. Encryption kills performance. No. TLS 1.3 cuts a round trip, uses fast 8 ciphers, and session resumption keeps CPU low. HT23 often speed things up. RFC 446, Cloudflare Google TLS 1.3 performance posts. Myth, pinning is always safer. No, HPKP bricked sites and was removed. Prefer certificate transparency, HSTS, and cautious SPKI CA pinning only with a tested rotation path. RFC 74469, RFC 962CT, RFC 6797 HSTS. Myth, revocation alone protects you. No, OCSP CRLs often soft fail. Use OCSP stapling and short-lived certs and monitor staple freshness. RFC 5280 PKI, RF 6960 OCSP, RFC 7633 must staple. Myth, hostname validation is optional inside the VPC. No, without host checks, TLS is just encryption without identity. Turn on verify full, verify identity, and set server name SNI. NIST SP852R3, OWASP ASV9. Myth, MTLS is too hard to run. No, use SPIF Spire or Cert Manager for 2472H rotations and SAN-based IDs. It's set and forget after day 1. SPIF 1.0 CNCF docs. Myth, will pin the leaf cert and be done. No, pin SPKI or a CA you control, keep a backup key, and rehearse rotation. Never hard pin a single leaf. IETF pinning guidance, browser deprecation notes. Quick FAQs you can fire off in reviews. Skip TLS in VPC? No, assume breach. Use MTLS with auto rotation. ASVS v9, NIST 852R3. TLS 1.3 slower? No, 1 RTT handshake, faster resumption. RFC 846. Is OCSP enough? No, staple plus short-lived certs. RFC 6960, RFC 7633. Pin everything. No, prefer CT HSTS, pin carefully. RFC 16962. The real challenge, the meeting skeptic who says, but it's inside the VPC. You need answers that land fast and stand up in audit. Here's the move. Keep a one-liner plus a spec. Say we require TLS 1.2 plus 1.3 with hostname validation. MTLS where possible. Certs auto-rotate every 90 days with stapling. Then paste the pointers. Clutch moment. Someone claims TLS adds latency. You reply, RFC 8446 removes a round trip. Here's our P95 unchanged after rollout. And the room nods. Quick recap. Encrypt everywhere. Verify host names. Prefer TLS3 and add MTLS for service to service. Don't rely on revocation alone. Use stapling and short-lived certs. Avoid blanket pinning. Lean on CT and HSTS and pin only with a safe rotation plan. Watch the next video for copy-paste policy text you can send to vendors. Give me 90 days and I'll make your TLS boring in the best way. Want a screenshot-ready roadmap your team can ship this week? Here's the plan. Week 1 wins, 30-day pilots, 60-day expansion, 90-day drills and dashboards. I'll name the exact tools: Cert Manager, Spire, TestSSL.sh, SSL Labs, plus clear owners and checkpoints you can paste into a ticket. Week 1 wins, days 1 to 7. Edge hardening, enforce TLS 1.2 plus, enable TLS 1.3 on LBCDN. Owner, SRE platform. Checkpoint day 3 live in staging, day 5 in prod off peak. Tool, SSL Labs quick scan, gold grade A or better. Baseline scans, run SSL Labs plus testsSL.sh and save links artifacts. Command testsSL test/api.example.com, baseline.json, owner security, point artifacts in repo by day 2. Hostname validation, flip drivers to strict verify on top 3 services and databases. Flags, Postgres SSL modes verify full. MySQL SSL mode equal verify identity, true, trust server certificate false. Owner, app teams, checkpoint, day 6 no errors in Canary, inventory, all certs, public plus internal, issuers and expiry dates. Owner security, checkpoint, day 7 dashboard, expiry radar shows days to expiry. Install Cert Manager staging, set Acme issuer and auto renew. Owner platform, checkpoint, day 7 a test cert auto renews. 30-day pilots, days 8 to 30. Pilot MTLS in 1 namespace with Spire. Scope, payments namespace, 2 services, permissive strict for that pair. Owner, platforms app owners. Checkpoints, day 14 Canary Green, day 21 50% traffic, day 30 100% in docs. Tool, Spire, SPIF IDs, Cert Manager for ingress certs. Protocol and perf check, measure H2 H3 share and P95B before after. Owner, SRE. Checkpoint, day 20 report shows no P95 regression. Tool, testsSL.sh for ALPN, dashboards for protocol mix. Webhook signing pilot, turn on HMAC SHA-256 with timestamp for 1 provider. Owner security, checkpoint, day 18 failure rates in 0.5%. Runbooks and templates, create change ticket templates and rotation runbooks, certs, keys, webhook secrets. Owner security PM, checkpoint day 25 approved by SRE plus app. Multi-region probes, daily scheduled tests SL curl from 3 regions. Owner SRE, day 30 probe report lands in Slack. 60-day expansion, days 31 to 60, expand LS to 3 to 5 critical services. Owner, platform. Checkpoints, day 45, 2 services strict, day 60, all targeted pairs strict. Tool, Spire plus Cert Manager, mesh permissive, strict playbook. Enforce TLS 1.2 plus across databases and brokers, set strict hostname checks everywhere. Flags, Postgres verify full, MySQL verify identity, Kafka endpoint.identification.algorithm HTTPs. Owner app teams. Checkpoint, day 50, no trust server certificate true audit passes. Acme in prod, Cert Manager cluster issuer with staging prod promotion, edge certs rotate automatically. Owner platform. Checkpoint, day 55, first auto rotation observed. Partner baseline, send policy email, TLS 1.2 to 1.3, hostname validation, MTLS optional, signed webhooks to top 2 partners. Schedule overlap windows. Security. Checkpoint, day 60, partner test endpoints verified. Alerts on hygiene, alert on cert expiry 14 days, and OCSP staple age 12H. Owner, SRE. Checkpoint, day 60, test alert, fires and resolves. 90-day drills and dashboards, days 61 to 90. Dashboards that answer, are we safe, in 10 seconds. Panels, handshake success, TLS version cipher mix, H1, H2, H3, OCSP freshness, cert expiry radar, webhook signature failures. Owner, SRE. Checkpoint, day 70, dashboard link pinned. Incident drills, run a cert expiry game day and an OCSP stapling outage drill. Goal, rotate a cert in under 30 minutes. Staple health back 10 minutes. Owner, on-call plus security. Checkpoint, day 75, drill report signed off. B2B rotation rehearsal, do a 7-day overlap secret rotation for one webhook provider. Owner, security. Checkpoint, day 80, no failed verifications during cutover. Finalize SLOs and alerts, 99.95% handshake availability, 99.9% stapling on must-staple endpoints, 0.5% webhook signature failures. Owner, SRE. Checkpoint, day 85, SLOs tracked in Grafana. Executive summary, 1-pager with before-after metrics and next quarter plan. Owner, security PM. Checkpoint, day 90, share with leadership. Tools per phase, at a glance. Week 1. SSL Labs, grade target A+. Tests SSL.baseline/JSON. Cert Manager, staging. 30 days Spire for MTLS pilot. Test cell.h multi-region probes. 60 days Cert Manager cluster issuer in prod, partner policy emails and test endpoints. 90 days, dashboards and SLOs in Grafana Datadog, drill playbooks. The snag you'll hit, we don't have time. Answer, these are small, safe steps. Flip flags and canaries, measure, then ramp. Each milestone has an owner and a date. Ship the slice, not the cake. Picture the moment. Day 75 drill. Your cert expires in staging. Cert Manager renews. Runbook runs. Dashboards stay green. On-call doesn't even raise an eyebrow. That's boring security, and it's beautiful. Quick recap. Next week, enforce TLS 1.2+, enable TLS 1.3, install Cert Manager, and capture baselines with SSL Labs, testsSL.sh. Next 30 days, pilot MTLS in one namespace with Spire, ship runbooks, and schedule probes. Next 60 days, expand MTLS and strict hostname checks. Automate Acme in prod, align partners. By 90 days, drills, dashboards, and SLOs that prove it's working. Watch the next video for copy-paste dashboards and alert rules you can drop into Grafana today. They started with a B on SSL Labs and plain text between services. 8 weeks later, A+ on the edge, MTLS inside, and latency actually got better. Here's the story you can mirror. I'll set the baseline, show the 3 exact changes, then share the numbers, surprises, and what they'd repeat or avoid. Baseline, external, api.example.com scored B on SSL Labs. TLS 1.2 only, no OCSP stapling, mixed ciphers, HSTS off. Protocol mix, H2 38%, H3 0%. Internal, service to service was plain text HTTP. DB drivers were trust server certificate. Metrics, P95, TTFB 310 edge. Handshake success 99.93%. 2 minor cert fire drills in the last quarter. Change 1. Modernize the edge TLS, enabled TLS 1.3 and trimmed ciphers to AED only. EnionX, SSL protocols TLS v1.2, TLS v1.3. SSL ciphers, TLS AEF6 GCMs 384, A20 GCM Wakata Poly 6. SSL co policy equals ELB security policy TLS 312116, turned on, OCSP stapling, and strict HSTS. SSL stapling on. Add header, strict transport security, max age 3156, include subdomains, preload, Lit up HTTP2 and HTTP3 with clean ALPN. ALPN H2H3. Verified with testcell.esh. Tools SSL Labs for public grade. testcell.esh for cipher ALPN's OCSP checks. Change 2. Make identity real on clients. Flipped hostname validation everywhere and removed trust all. Postgres. SSL mode equal to verify full. Provide root CA. SSL mode equal verify identity. SQL server. Encrypted true. Trust server certificate false. Kafka SSL.endpoint identification algorithm S. Added cert manager to automate ingress certs and stop Friday expiry. Panics. Cert manager cluster issuer for Acme. Renewals at 30 days left. Change 3. From plaintext to MTLS. Safely. Pilot MTLS with Spire in one namespace. Payments, then expand. Week 1. Mesh permissive. Spire issues spiffy IDs TTL24H. Week 2. One service pair strict. Ramp traffic 525 50% 100%. Week 4. 3 more pairs strict. Probes from 3 regions after each step. testssl.sh api.example.com JSON pre-JSON / post.json curl http2 tie cronely nashi watch handshake and P95 outcome the numbers SSL Labs BA plus on api.example.com TTFB down 12% 310 to 7 mix thanks to TLS on replay H2H3 protocol mix H2H3 combined from 38% 78%. Handshake success 99.93 99.98%. 0 incidents during rollout. CPU, handshake CPU plus 2% at edge, offset by resumption, no app CPU change. East-west coverage, 0%, 85% of service calls on MTLS for targeted apps. Surprises and fixes. Surprise, gRPC broke in one region, ALPN didn't advertise H2 behind a legacy proxy. Fix, enabled H2 on that hop, added an automated ALP check in CI using testssl.sh. Surprise, OCSP staple stale in US during cutover. Fix, NTP drift and DNS resolver issue. Pinned resolver and added alert when staple age 12H. Surprise, one partner used IPs instead of DNS, killing hostname verification. Fix, issued a DNS name and CNAME, kept TLS 1.2 with strong ciphers until they upgraded. Surprise, first MTLS canary failed due to missing SAN on a client cert. Fix, Spire template enforced spiff IDs in SAN, added pre-flight handshake test in canary job. What they'd repeat, the ramp. 5%, 25%, 50% with clear stop rules, HS 99% 55 mem or P95 plus 15% equals pause. Multi-region probes on every step and saving artifacts in the ticket. Dual trust windows for cert changes in a one-click rollback. What they'd avoid, big bang flips, small canaries kept blasts tiny and nerves calm. Opportunistic TLS or trust server certificate true, strict verify caught real bugs. Leaf cert pinning. They leaned on CT HSTS and kept rotation easy. Exact moves you can copy. Edge, enable TLS 1.3, AAT ciphers, OSP stapling, HSTS, H2H3N. Clients, Postgres verify full, MySQL verify identity, SQL server encryptical true, trust server certificate false, Kafka hostname validation. Automation, cert manager for auto renew, Spire for NLS with 2472H certs. Verify, SSL Labs link and ticket, testssl.sh JSON pre-post, dashboards for P95 and handshake rate. Clutch moment. The switch to strict MTLs on payments hit 100%, probes stayed green in 3 regions, protocol mix jumped, and leadership saw A+ and lower P95 on the same slide. That's when security slows us down, died in the room. Quick recap. Baseline, SSL Labs B, plain text inside, mild latency. 3 changes, modern edge TLS, strict hostname checks, MTLS with Spire. Outcome, A+, P95 down 12%, 0 incidents, 85% MTLS coverage on target paths. Lessons, canary and multi-region probes win, strict verify finds bugs, avoid big bang and leaf pinning. Watch the next video for the exact runbook template they use to ship this without drama. Tired of hunting for the right TLS doc? Here's the exact index you can paste into tickets so debates end fast. I'll group everything by theme, give you the title, the link, and one line on why it matters, so your team knows what to follow and where to go deeper. Set your baseline, NIST SP852R3, which TLS versions ciphers suites to allow. Use it to set your org baseline. Steph/CSRCS/publicanes SP852 OAS VS 4.0 V9 communications concrete verification items for transport security HTS github.com OAT ASVS/releases tag v4.3 RFC 9320p do's and don'ts for deploying TLS safely nice datatracker.ietf.org stock RFC 9325 protocols you'll actually run RFC 8446 TL1.3 faster handshake modern AAD ciphers Quote this when enabling TLS 1.3. HTS datatracker.ietf.org stalls RFC 8446 RFC 9000 quick plus RFC 914 transport and H3 mapping. Good for htracker.ietf.org.com channel 9000 and ecotrack.ietf.org/tmlg RFC 914. RFC 937 ECH encrypted client hello for hiding SNI plan for future privacy. datatracker.af.org/docfight 9337. Certificates, PKI, and automation, RFC 5280, X.509, the rules for certs, chains, and revocation, site for SAN validity, datatracker.ietf.org/doc/html RFC 5280, RFC 8555, how automatic cert issuance renewal works, let's encrypt and friends. Datatracker.docdoc RFC 8555, SSL Lab server test, public edge grade and config hints, add the link to change tickets. SSLlabs.com/SSL test SSL test, scriptable scanner for ciphers, AL, OCSP, commit JSON before after. Service identity and MTLS SPIF, service identity SPIF IDs for zero trust inside your network. /SPIF.io/Spire, reference implementation to issue short-lived certs for MTLS. /SPIF.io/cert manager, Kubernetes cert automation, Acme, internal CAs with auto-renew, certsmanager.io tokens, keys, and webhook payloads. RFC 7517K, JSON web key format, how you publish, rotate keys. Datatracker.iethacker.ietf.org/RFC 7519, token structure and claims, useful for service auth and audits. /datatracker.ietf.org/7519. Provider webhook docs to copy into integrations, Stripe, signed webhook spec with timestamp and replay window. Docstripe.com/webhooks signatures, GitHub, securing webhooks with HMAC and example code. /docsgit.com/webhooks and events, webhooks/securing your webhooks. Verifying requests from Slack with signing secrets. pia.slack.com/authentication/verifying requests from Slack. The common problem. Too many tabs and random blog posts lead to muddy policies. You need sources you can cite without arguments. Here's how to use this index. Policy, baseline per NIST SP852R3 plus RFC 9325, verify per OWASP ASVS v9. Build, enable TLS 1.3, RFC 8446, H3 per RFC 9000 plus RFCH per R9337. PKI Acme RFC 85 via Cert Manager, Cert rules per RFC 5280. Identity, MTLS via SPIF Spire, rotate certs 24722H. Proof, attach SSL Labs link and TSSL-SH JSON to every change ticket. Clutch moment, you paste NIST 852R3 and RFC 9325 into the ticket, link SSL Labs and TSSL.H results, and the should we allow TLS 1.0 debate ends in 10 seconds. Quick recap, baselines from NIST plus OWASP, mechanics from the RFCs. Automation with Cert Manager and Spire, proof with SSL Labs and TSSL-H. Clean webhook security by copying Stripe, GitHub, and Slack patterns. Watch the next video for a paste-ready security policy you can roll out today. If your cert expired tonight, would you catch it before your customers do? Let's make that a non-event with one tight checklist. Here's the plan. 3-sentence recap you can repeat in meetings, a do now checklist you can screenshot, and a gentle push to run a live drill so this sticks. The problem, great notes die in docs. Too many tabs, no owners, no dates. Momentum fizzles. Threats, internal traffic gets sniffed, weak configs linger, rotations fail at 2 a.m. Tools, TLS 1.3, MTLS via Spire, Cert Manager for auto-renew, SSL Labs, TSSL.sh for proof. Playbook, set a baseline, run small pilots with overlap windows, then drill until it's muscle memory. Final do now checklist, screenshot this. Today 15 minutes, run SSL Labs on your edge, run TSSL.sh and save JSON in the ticket. Flip hostname validation on top 2 services and all DB drivers. Verify full, verify identity, no trust server certificate, true. Enable TLS 1.3 on the load balancer CDN. Keep TLS 1.2 for compatibility. Trim to AAD ciphers. Install Cert Manager and staging. Create Acme cluster issuer. Verify one auto renewal. Pick one namespace for MTLS. Install Spire. Plan Canary 5%, 25%, 50, 100% with stop rules. HS 99.50 pause. Alerts. Cert expiry 14 days. OCSP staple age 12H. Webhook signature failures 0.5%. Webhooks require HMAC SHUFT 6 with timestamp. Start a 2-key rotation plan with 7-day overlap. Partners, send baseline email, TLS 1.2, 1.3, hostname validation, MTLS optional, signed webhooks, share test endpoints, and 7-day overlap. Dashboards, add panels for TLS version cipher mix, handshake success, OCSP freshness, P95, webhook failures. Owners and dates, platform owns Edge plus Cert Manager, SRE owns scans, alerts, dashboards, security owns partner email plus policies, app teams own hostname verify, put target dates in the ticket today. Book it, a 60-minute cert expiry drill next week with on-call, platform, and security. Clutch moment, calendar invite sent, tickets filed, canary plan in the ticket, your team just moved from we should to we did. Quick recap, encrypt everywhere, prove identity with MTLS, automate certs, test and drill until it's boring and fast. Screenshot the checklist, add owners and dates, and run one live drill next week. Watch the next video for the printable master checklist.